Hi, this is Kerby Anderson. You know, each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging: apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, trends in society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View starts right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Thank you for joining me today here on Point of View. You know, we are going to be obviously spending a little bit of time over the next couple of hours talking about Brett Kavanaugh, but I thought I might just mention, you know, if we weren't talking about him, you might say, what would we be talking about? Oh, the fact that the unemployment rate is lower than it has been since the Vietnam War, 1969.
Wow.
The Hispanic unemployment is the lowest in history. And the presidential poll actually says that the presidential approval rate is now 51% in the midst of all of the conflicts taking place right now.
You would not know that from what the liberal progressive media is reporting.
So that's why you should support Point of View. If
Absolutely.
Let's go around the round table here, because people are hearing all sorts of voices, and I certainly need to be really careful to recognize that this is our last day of Truth Team. And for those of you procrastinators out there waiting to the last day, this is the last day, the last few hours.
Yes, it is.
But as you know, this week we have had, of course, in studio with us every day, our good friend Brad Fisk. And Brad, it's just been great to work with you, and I have worked with you many years, and it's just great to sit across the table from
It's a
you.
pleasure, and we're excited because Point of View means something. Point of View has legacy. Point of View has long legs and a history that honors the Lord Jesus Christ and gives the worldview message through Scripture, through the eyes of the Bible, through prayer. So we're very excited to be a part of this. And you can be a part, too, by the way, right off the bat by giving us a call at 800-347-5151. It's a toll-free number. Hey, don't let the last day go by without you joining the Truth Team at $1 a day or more. 800-347-5151.
Let me introduce somebody else who doesn't need a whole lot of introduction for our local station, because if you are listening to the local station in the morning, you hear JP, Kathy, and this is Kathy, and the crew. And Kathy Ward. We have a lot of information about her on the website. Your bio goes on for a long, long period of time.
I don't know
and
about that. Maybe we need to cut that down then.
I might talk about the fact she's been a political activist. She's been a consultant. She's been a county commissioner, to mention just a few. She's also been a national committee woman, all sorts of things like that. But now is also a talk show host, and this is just thrilling to have you here, not just for the local hour, although some of the people in Minnesota maybe are meeting you for the first time, but also for the national hour, which will be taking place an hour from now.
Well, thank you. And I am so honored to be here and to be here for all 3 hours. This is, I mean, I just popped right out of bed this morning, super excited to come in. And like you said, Brad, we're doing the Lord's work here. This is good work. And so you, the listener, can help us out tremendously today. You know, how much does it cost to get a cup of coffee? I don't know anywhere where you can get a cup of coffee for $1. You know, maybe a drive-through, but for the less than a cup of coffee, you can make a huge difference. And, you know, the things you've had me on the show talking about, Kerby, have been, and like, especially from my time as Texas Wire chairman and then chairman of the Republican Party of Collin County, how do we make a difference?
Right.
How do we make a difference? And it's a lot easier than people think. And so I'm going to repeat the number that Brad just gave you, 1-800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. Call in. Help us out. This is, I mean, you guys do amazing work.
You know, one of the reasons that people sometimes wonder, Brad, if they should invite the individuals into their home to speak to the issue or invite us in on radio or to support it is to say, well, why? And I think one of the whys I just alluded to a minute ago, and that is if we weren't talking about the Kavanaugh nomination today, and of course we are because they just had the cloture vote, and we'll explain that in just a few minutes, and we'll talk about that in a minute. People wouldn't even know some of the things I just rattled off. And those are just a few off the top of my head. When you have the lowest unemployment rate since 1969, and Kathy will explain whether that was due to Barack Obama or Donald Trump.
Okay, yeah, let me look up some statistics on that, Kirby.
Yeah. And that's why another reason people need to listen to this program and support this program.
Yeah, there's a media bias, and one of our distinctives is to come in, and we're not afraid to tell the truth. We're not afraid if we make a mistake. We're not afraid to talk about truth. This is, truth with a capital T is really one of the most important factors around here at Point of View. And that's one of the reasons why we would invite you to join the financial team, because we are the truth team. We will watch your back, and we will keep an eye on those headlines you're never going to see in the mainstream press. 800-347, come on, you guys, 5151.
I might just mention, too, that we broadcast live on Facebook, just as you do from your studio. By the way, have you noticed our studio's got a little more room? I was going to say,
okay, and I love my studio.
Your studio, I'm not sure I could raise my hands like that.
But I tell you what, I came in here the first time, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, this is so fancy, and it's fantastic. It's comfortable. It's big. It's roomy. And, but more importantly, the company that I get to keep. Like people like yourself, Kirby, who, thank goodness, you've been a long time conservative patriot friend of mine. And now I get to hang out with Brad.
Yeah. But again, we do broadcast on Facebook Live, and you can leave a comment there along the way.
And please do. Absolutely. You can share it with your friends.
And do those.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in just a few minutes, we are going to also have a chance to hear from some of the individuals that have had a profound impact on Point of View because they've been guests. But we'll also be hearing from people that we've had an impact on as well. And you've noticed this, you now are from not only an individual speaking and going to political events and being on radio, you run into people sometimes that say, what you said the other day really changed my life. Or, I never really thought about running for office, but I thought, well, Kathy ran for office. Why can't I? Or you might even run into some people say, I don't really need to vote. Don't you think you need to vote this time? Don't we have a close election or two coming up?
We do. We really do. And this is one of those, and I'm talking, all over the country. And again, we've got some hotly contested races. We've got a United States Senator race that we'll be talking about this morning or this afternoon as well. That's extremely important in Texas. But don't forget to vote all the way down the ballot, because you've got things like, you've got the county clerk down, you've got county commissioners, you've got justice of the peace. And if people vote at the top, hey, I'm voting for Ted Cruz, he's awesome, I'm voting for Ted Cruz. And then you get in, you get out, or you come in and you're like, oh, I love Governor Abbott, I love, Attorney General Ken Paxton, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, he's amazing. And then you walk out, you're doing a disservice to some of the things like the JP courts, which are the people's courts, or the county clerk. My goodness, in Collin County, Stacey Kemp, who's the current county clerk, her team oversees 10 million documents, approximately 10 million documents. So the integrity and the protection of those are key.
Yes, and we had Judge Francis sitting in that chair just the other day.
That's right.
And she was saying, I'm second to the bottom on the ballot, and I'm hoping you'll make your way down there. The only thing that works for her is she's in the Dallas area, is the one below her is the district attorney, and that's kind of a big issue right now.
That's a big race,
but,
yes.
Again, go down the ballot, and if you find yourself saying, how do I find out about all of that? We're going to be posting, as we always do, the links to the various voter guides. But let's just mention that we're going to the break right now.
We are indeed. It's your opportunity during the break to give us a call. I'm looking for leadership. Somebody in leadership who's going to step out and say, I got $1 a day, I can do this, and I'm going to do it right now. 800-347-5151. Remember that you'll get the Bible stick from Faith Comes by Hearing as a thank you gift for that gift of $1 a day or more. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151, and also online.
Again, at pointofview.net. Give us a call right now, 800-347-5151, or pointofview.net. Just click on the banner that says Beacon of Truth. Here with Brad and Kathy, we'll have a lot more right after this.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
2 weeks ago, my commentary was all about good news that is rarely covered by the press since it really isn't considered news. I wanted to come back and talk about some bad news that is also rarely covered by the press because it's too much in the future when the focus on news is what's happening now. Tyler Cohen wrote about what he called the decline and fall of the American empire. He doesn't think that America's falling apart right now, but he does see some ominous trends in the future. I like to think of these as challenges that we and our leaders, both political and spiritual, will need to confront in the future. First, he is rightly concerned about the shrill public debate. We see this in the inability for Congress to pass meaningful legislation to the recent circus atmosphere surrounding the nominee to the Supreme Court. Politics is ugly, and that makes it unlikely that the political sphere will adequately address the nation's pressing problems. A second concern will be federal spending. Aging and entitlements will force the next president, whether Democratic or Republican, to look for a mix of spending cuts and tax increases. The growing national debt will force politicians to cut back on infrastructure maintenance, and he concludes that much of the country will end up looking like, forgive the colloquial phrase, a dump. Advances in technology will also affect everything from our privacy to entertainment. Artificial intelligence and facial surveillance will invade our privacy. High-tech virtual reality will entice many to live in a cyber world where life is easy and everyone is beautiful. And driverless cars will reduce accidents, but they will probably make the roads more crowded. Many believe these trends spell the decline of America. I like to think of these trends as challenges we need to address as we move through the 21st century. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
Take Kerby and the Point of View team with you on the go with the Point of View app. Search for Point of View Radio at the Apple or Google Play stores. Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth. Matt Staver.
We often take for granted the fact that we have good voices and information coming from ministries like Point of View. But I know, having traveled around the world, when I want to get good news about what's happening in our country or what's happening around the world, that news is just simply not there. Or if it's there, it's coming from a very slanted, very radical, left-leaning, anti-Judeo-Christian perspective. News that you really can't trust. So I think it's critically important that we support Point of View because it is doing a tremendous ministry here in this country. And if we don't support it, that ministry will ultimately lose its voice. That would be a critical absence that would clearly affect our Christian communities. It's absolutely critical that we support Point of View.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Good friend Matt Staver talking about media bias for just a minute. And Kathy, I'm coming to you for a minute because he talked about two types.
Right.
There is the bias of slanted news,
yes,
or what Brad and I have been talking about this week, fake news or things like that,
absolutely,
making it up. But the other that I alluded to and started the show with, and we'll come back to this the next hour, is where you just don't cover it. And there are just so many issues we cover here on Point of View that never get covered by the mainstream press. Sometimes sometimes they're not even really covered, to be perfectly blunt, even by conservative talk show hosts. They don't get into religious liberty very much. They don't get into LGBT issues. This week we've been talking about parental rights. You know as well as I do, having had cameras in your face as a candidate, as also a leader and others, that you don't really know if what you said to the camera or what you said to the reporter will end up on the newspaper or end up in the final broadcast.
Well, and a lot of times, and this is what I love about what y'all are doing and why I think this is so important, and I'm so honored to be part of this team today, and that is the truth. We talked about this on break, the three of us. The people are starting to talk about in the liberal media, and I'm using air quotes. I know I'm on the radio, but I'm using air quotes, and that is, well, my truth, my own truth. What does that even mean? Because I've told my kids, you're either telling me the truth or you're lying, period, end of sentence. Yep. And if you're lying, there's going to be chops busting that comes after that. So, for example, and is it okay to talk about the latest Beto O'Rourke?
Oh, sure.
And of course he has this new commercial and he's real close to the camera and it looks like a retread of an Obama commercial, but that's another story for another day. So Beto O'Rourke apologizes for sexist comments he made in 1991. He's a United States Senate candidate running against United States Senator Ted Cruz. In 1991, he reviewed a Broadway musical for Columbia University's newspaper. He was a student at the time. He criticized the actresses in the play and made demeaning comments about their bodies. The El Paso congressman said he is ashamed of what he wrote and that there was no excuse for disrespecting women. Okay, and that's as far as I'm going to go with the article. I'm going to pontificate a little bit. Is this, and again, I've been on the news, I've been on the radio this morning, and I've been doing some post-production stuff and then preparing for y'all's show. Okay, I'm curious, have either of y'all or have anybody who's listening, chime in on social media, hit us on Facebook. Is this story not making the news? I mean, this is somebody who I've been in theater before. Okay, if you criticize how I was on stage, my interpretation of the character, I'll take that. Why on earth would you demean somebody's body, a woman's body at that, when that has nothing to do with the talent of that woman? And maybe there's outrage. Maybe I've just missed it. Where's the outrage from
hard to be outraged
Me
if they
Too
don't
and
cover
all
it.
these folks?
If the media doesn't cover it,
well, exactly,
then we can't be
and that's what's great about
and
point of view.
He's got a D next to his name, so we give him a pass.
But
right?
we can't do that. That's teaching the youth and our kids that hypocrisy is okay, and it's not. And that's the great thing that Point of View does. You guys will bring up these stories that kind of fall between the cracks. And y'all will hit them hard.
We will indeed. And, this whole coverage of stuff, it's become very, very selective. And it has become to the point where that's one of the reasons why we talk about Point of View, because we seem like one of the only voices in the wilderness crying out saying, look at this unemployment rate. Look at the economy. Look at what's going on here. And the press just chooses to ignore it. They're just we don't have any way in other than programs like Point of View.
So true.
Well, again, let's give
and
the
you're
number
speaking
out.
the truth.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
And again, that's why we talk about a beacon of truth, because there's darkness and we need to light some lamps and we need to have a beacon of light and a beacon of truth. Again, 800-347-5151. Let's hear what some of our callers have had to say.
Point of View. Truth Team 360. Beacon of Truth.
Point of View is a part of my daily life, and I know of no other radio program that helps its listeners to develop, articulate, and then defend a biblical worldview as successfully as yours does. For those reasons, I consider it an honor to be able to support Point of View financially, and I would encourage all of your listeners, both young and old, to prayerfully consider doing the same.
I just turned your program on, and I want to just let you know I was working in an abortion clinic when abortion first became legal, and I thought I was helping women. And the Lord showed me in a very powerful way, as He removed the veil from me, what exactly I'd been involved in. And I am proof of forgiveness. And I want to just let you know how much I appreciate just getting the truth out.
I really appreciate your program. I don't get to listen to it every day because I have to work, but it's a really a blessing to me and to all of us.
You know, my husband and I take so many extra precautions to guard our children, and it is a huge effort on the part of Christian parents to do that. I wanted to thank y'all for everything you do each day to inform Christian families and our community about the things we can do, and just the way you're so informative. I listen to you daily and love you guys and appreciate you so much.
I just appreciate all you guys do. I mean, I learned so much, and it's amazing what you teach that I say to other people, and they look at me like, where did you hear that? So I appreciate you guys. So thank you for all you do.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
One of the reasons we come to you, and we do this twice a year, Brad.
Yes, we do.
And we are coming to the last day. So if you've been listening and saying, oh, okay, they're doing this fundraiser, and it's called Truth Team, and this week focusing on Beacon of Truth, maybe I could at least make a phone call and give a small gift, or maybe even join at as little as $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 a year. And that's just something we come to you twice a year to consider what you might do to support this ministry. Pledge line number 800-347-5151. Kathy Ward with us. And Kathy, what do you think about some of those comments?
I love that. The lady who was talking about working in an abortion clinic, and that got me choked up, and it reminded me, we have a family friend who back in the day worked in a hospital where abortions were performed, and she would take holy water and she would go out to these trash bins of sorts where these aborted fetuses were. And again, we're speaking the truth here.
Yeah.
And she would bless them with holy water, say prayers for them. This is what Point of View, this is what your ministries, this is what y'all fight for, is the truth to be out there so people can be informed. And one of the gentlemen, and then also one of the ladies who were friends of the shows, said that they have something specific and tangible and actually factual to go out and talk to their friends about. So that's another arrow in your quiver of knowledge where you can say, yes, I'm a Christian and this is what I promote and this is why you need to vote. This is why you need to support a show like Point of View.
And again, we post a lot of articles. Matter of fact, let me just mention today, we've posted this particular piece, which is written by Judge Brett Kavanaugh. I am an independent, impartial judge. A little bit later, I wanted to get your comments about Kelsey Harkness, women who actually know Kavanaugh, and share why they #stand with Brett. And a couple of others that we'll get into a little bit later. But again, sometimes people say, well, where'd you find that? And that's why we post those articles on the website.
Go right to the source. Hey, I got an idea. Let's get 3 people during this break to check in with us with a gift of $1 a day or more. The Bible Stick is a thank you gift we're going to give you. And it's an MP3 player. It's got music, sound effects, and over 20 different voices. It's dramatized in the ESV version. Very easy to listen to and just have God's word pouring into your mind in your heart. And we'd love to give this to you as a thank you gift for anybody that donates $1 a day or $360 a year or more. And we have other gifts at different levels. You can go online and look at those if you like. But in the meantime, looking for 3 people to come to the phones right now and with your very best gift. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. You can also go to pointofview.net. That's pointofview.net, and you can give there, Kerby.
And again, pointofview.net is a place to go, and just click on the banner that says Beacon of Truth. So again, we'd love to get some phone calls. 3 of you right now. Pledge line 800-347-5151 or pointofview.net. We'll be back right after this.
Kerby Anderson can't call George Soros.
Former U.S. Representative and Army Lieutenant Colonel Alan West understands what many forget. Preserving liberty has a cost. It's you versus George Soros. It's like David versus Goliath, and we know how that turned out. But just as David had to go to the brook, select 5 smooth stones, you have to throw off lethargy and indifference and join the team. Point of View Radio's Truth Team needs you this week, right now, today. Don't let the giant win. When you give today, your entire first year of giving will be matched up to $10,000. Every monthly investment doubled. But you have to sling your stone right now. Visit pointofview.net/team or make a short phone call, 1-800-347-5151.
This is what we're up against, folks. And if you want to keep your freedom, if you want to pass on with the greatness of the United States of America to your children or grandchildren, let's help support this ministry.
Pointofview.net/team and 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again is Kerby Anderson.
By the way, if you would like to join with us today, the pledge line number is 800-347-5151. The clock is ticking, and if you are a procrastinator, and Brad, you've done this with me a few times, you know, we get more people giving the last day, sometimes the last hour of the last day. Why do they always do this? I don't know. Then the time has come. The time has come. 800-347-5151. Pointofview.net. Kathy Ward with me as well. And Kathy, I want to tell a story real quickly and see if you could react to this at all. When we were out in California, we have a lot of listeners out there, KYCC.
Hello, California.
And we have Stan and Jennifer were at this bistro with us.
Right.
And very nice people. And Jennifer said that she was involved in a church like most people. She's kind of concerned about the culture, but she walks. And, you know, I walk. Matter of fact, I walk today. My wife's out of town, but she walks me twice a day, just like a dog. So we get walking when we get to know the neighbors. And she said when she walk in the neighborhood, she would listen to Point of View, because Point of View airs out there from 11 to 1. And she began listening to Point of View, and she began to say, you know, I've got to do something. And she listened. She said her confidence began to grow. She felt she needed to stand up for her values. And so she started making regular trips to the state capitol in Sacramento, California, to meet with the representatives, to stop trampling on the rights of Christians and things of that nature. And so she has said, you know, can one person make a difference? Well, she'd like to say that we turned Sacramento, California around, but that's going to be a major issue. But nevertheless, she has found how she can make a difference. And the issue is not what can I do, but the old pronoun problem. What can we do?
Absolutely.
And you run into lots of people over the years that once they hear a program like Point of View, whether it was Marlon Maddox, Penna Dexter, Kelly Shackelford, Kerby Anderson, said, you know, maybe I can walk a precinct. Maybe I can go out and be a precinct chairman. Or in your case, maybe I can actually be a county commissioner.
Yes, I mean, and that's the thing. You know, I came from, I was a teacher. I'm a high school special education teacher, also coached the drill team back at Plano East Senior High. Shout out to a great school. And I remember hearing Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in an interview. This is the early 90s, so I've been involved for 30 years now. And, of course, I didn't like anything he had to say. She scared me worse. And so I thought, I have to do something. What can I do? So I started making phone calls, and eventually that led me to a group starting up of Collin County Young Republicans. And it was, I found, I think I told you this story. I came into my first meeting and I'm walking in and I'm a little nervous. I'm like, okay, how's this going to go? And they're like, oh, take a seat. And then they're like, okay, we're sitting around a committee sign up sheet. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm new. And they're like, okay, then which committee do you want to chair? And I'm like, oh, don't ever ask that question again, Kathy. But I'm so glad that I stepped up. And again, you do have to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. But and even if you have that one person who slams a door in your face or one person who hangs up on you, there are 10 people who are like, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you so much, because now I've got information, and actually I'm going to go and talk to my church friends, or I'm going to talk to my bridge club, or my, the kids at the moms at my kids' school. And those are the votes that win these close and tight elections. And if you don't think that one vote counts, heck, we can look in history and go down the line of where one vote has literally made all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, just one of the reasons why we encourage you to support Point of View, and also to be looking at the website next week to see some of the material that we're going to get out there. It may not be up just on Monday, but it will be up there soon to just give you some of the information, because we're getting close to early voting. Those in the state of Texas, October 22nd. You can vote early.
Yes.
So
And
coming.
October 9th is our last day to register to vote. So conservatives, get out there, register your friends, and go and make that difference. Even if you've never voted before, make this your first time, because this literally is a battle for the soul of our nation that we're facing.
I agree. And you can be a part of that. You can step out right now. In fact, I'd love to see 3 or 4 brand new donors that have never given before.
Yeah.
Let's reach out. You've never given to Point of View in the past. Would you consider a gift, a generous gift of any amount, a single gift of $100? Be great. How about $1 a day, $360 for the year? You can do it. You really can. It's not that hard, 2 to 3 minutes. You don't have to have the money in hand. It's a pledge for the future that you'll pay. 800-347-5151. 51. 800-347-5151. I want to see line 1, line 2, line 3. Come on, brand new givers. Let's get on the phones right now and wake everybody up in the phone center.
That would be good. While we're getting the phone to ring, I would also want to ask you another question, Kathy, and that is how can a small group of motivated people turn around a culture? And an illustration I could give is next week I'm going to be speaking at a Bible Institute, and the second-year students actually will be hearing me address the issue of homosexuality.
Right.
Now, there have been surveys where many people think that a quarter of the country is homosexual. No, it's really about 2%, maybe 3%.
And not
2%.
necessarily even that high in some instances,
so
right?
2% change the culture?
Well,
what
and
could all these Christians listening right now could do to change the culture?
Well, they can call in right now at 800-347-5151. And the thing is, what has happened, and it's interesting, my son, who's 14, almost 15, he said, Mom, it's the vocal, I want to make sure I get his quote correct. He said, it's the vocal minority that is getting all of the attention. He said, I really don't think there's that many people who feel that way, but it's kind of like that squeaky wheel. And right now, and boy, and it's one thing to be a squeaky wheel, and all of us have done, protesting and counter protesting, and that's fun and it's a blast. Have either of you gentlemen ever been violent? Chased anyone?
Not lately.
Okay. Oh, Brad, you and I need to talk during a break. Have you guys, have y'all ever used foul language in trying to make your point? Have you ever worn or said or done anything appropriate? Have you ever caught a building or a fire or a car on fire or a building on fire? Have you bashed glass in of a private sector company? And right now, that minority, that smaller group, they're loud. They're the ones getting the attention. And this is something we talk about on JP, Kathy, and the crew. Okay, we're going past, at this point, conservatives and progressives. At this point, we're going past, and I just question, where's the humanity? What about just being a decent, civil human being?
There's the word civility is what I've been talking about all week long.
And civility's we're losing it.
It's gone.
And you don't. And somebody who's being civil, Ted Cruz, when he and his wife were practically accosted at a restaurant on date night, he said to the lady who was yelling at him and had her phone camera in his face, "God bless you." And it was like she was angry because he said, "God bless you," in a very kind voice.
Yeah.
What is wrong?
Yep. I tried opening a door for a lady not too long ago. She yelled at me. She did. She yelled at me for doing that. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be nice.
But why do you have to be sorry?
I didn't want caught me off guard.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And that's crazy because I'm telling my son, you have to open the door for me.
Yeah.
And for other ladies.
Yep. Well, let's hear from some of our other listeners because they also want to encourage you to support Point of View.
Point of View. Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
To all listeners out there, I've been listening for over 2 years. I just recently became a supporter. So I am a proud supporter of Point of View, and so I would just encourage everyone who listens to this radio station and to your specific broadcast, because it has been so influential for me, and I refer people to it because you put out such great information, and it's so thought-invoking and conversation-stimulating. It's great. So thank you so much, and I'll continue to support you guys.
But I've decided I'm going to give Point of View something this year because I think financially we're doing better. Point of View is one of, in my opinion, 2 or 3 places where you can really get this kind of information, and it is sorely lacking in our culture. And so Point of View, and there's a couple other programs, if we don't support them, I'm not convinced those messages will get out.
Thank you very much, and I just love your program. It's been an inspiration to me for many years. I just want to encourage all those of you and help keep Point of View on the air. We cannot afford to allow these stations to go empty. Please support Point of View.
Point of View. Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Again, we are getting a few phone calls, but we certainly have a place for you right now. So please give us a call, 800-347-5151. And Kathy, for just a minute, I recognize we have some listeners also in Minnesota and a couple of other small
And they're like, who
networks.
the heck is this girl you got on today?
We recognize that most of our audience right now, if they listen to AM 1160, have heard you in the morning.
Yes.
And we really recognize that this has been an opportunity for us to talk about some of those Texas issues. And
Right.
as a matter of fact, I just came from the Hope Center, and there are all these police officers, and there was a variety of other people in law enforcement. I realized, well, the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, was at the Hope Center doing a press conference, And so, and so you had some Texas Rangers and everything. And, he will be, matter of fact, some people said, I thought he was going to be on a show. I said, well, not today. But, he sat in that chair many
then that's a
times,
disappointment if they're expecting Ken Paxton.
But again, we need to hear from those people right now.
You're absolutely right.
800-347-5151. Since we're going to a break right now, good time to call. We need 3 more phone calls. 800-347-5151.
The loudest female voices regarding the allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh were those denouncing Senator's support for him and demanding it be justified with more investigation. Less reported were the numerous women who called Senate offices in support of Kavanaugh and who were critical of what they saw as a political lynching that unfairly destroyed the reputation of a brilliant jurist and family man. The Me Too movement is shining a bright light on sexual abuse by powerful men. In this, it's a powerful tool for good. But it's been clear during this confirmation battle that the movement has also become a weapon for political destruction. Certain senators worried, how will my stand on the confirmation play to female voters? We can no longer assume that most voters want accusations of sexual misdeeds evaluated by substantive argument and by corroboration of charges. We don't know anymore how many Americans prefer a different standard, a sort of politics by belief, in which, when it's about anything sexual, the woman must be believed and the accused man faces the presumption of guilt. There are legal standards for judging the truthfulness of accusers and defenders. But politicians are terrified to say an accuser, like Christine Ford, might be unstable or have memory issues. Statements of skepticism about the credibility or the motivation of the accuser are simply not allowed because they would re-victimize her. And not only her, but every woman who may have been sexually assaulted. The accused is scrutinized, the female accuser, not so much. Overuse of these cynical tactics will eventually dilute protections for real victims. When legitimate allegations of sexual misconduct are made, we'll tend to dismiss them as political. PC kid glove treatment of accusations at the expense of truth harms men and women. The weaponization of the Me Too movement has created a toxic environment that has the potential to destroy our political decision-making. Senators standing against this are heroes. For Point of View, I'm Penna Dexter.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Well, I'd give you multiple reasons to get the point of view. Number one, let's just talk about radio in general. Radio is the only medium that you can actually do something and listen to at the same time. That's not true with other medias. So you can actually work or do whatever you're doing around your house and yet still hear what you need to hear on radio. So I advocate radio as a great medium for getting the gospel and other things, other information out to Christians and hopefully new Christians alike. if we don't support them, I'm not convinced those messages will get out in the future.
Thank you for your program. I am a team member, and you have opened my eyes to the truth.
Point of View. Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Back once again, and let's again encourage some of you listening right now. Interestingly enough, I said I want to hear from some in Texas, and I think we are, but I noticed some of the first ones coming in here actually from out of state. And so then in cases, I know people are also listening online. You can go to Facebook Live. I'm hello from somebody there listening from Mississippi right now. But you can also, of course, go to pointofview.net, and you can watch or listen as well. So if there's anything else, Brad, we do have a few comments and a few thank yous.
We got a couple thank yous. Thanks to a $40 a month gift from William. Thank you. And Carolyn checking in with a $100 gift. So again, it's not really the amount is the issue, but full participation. If we had everybody participate who listens to the program at any time during a 1 week period, we would be way, way up and over our goal.
Yeah. We figured out at one point if each person that listens to the show at least once during the week gave $1, we'd have our budget met.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're right.
But, of course, we're lucky if even 1% of the listening audience gives. So be one of those individuals that maybe move it from 1% to 2%. I don't know what's wrong with our other 99% of our listeners, especially when I look every day in our mail. My wife, of course, gives to a lot of different ministries, and I see material coming in from Insight for Living and David Jeremiah and Focus on the Family and everything, and we give to all those. But again, we're encouraging you to do so. And you mentioned $40 a month. You know, for some of you might want to join at $50 a month. That's what we call our Light Bearers Club. And Kathy, let me talk about that because you've seen some of these booklets. Here's the latest one.
Love those. Have them in my car. My son's like, "Are we going to have these?" I said, "We're get used to them. Just move them aside." If I've been reading them while I've been waiting in the carpool line.
Well, and let him read them, too, because as you well know, it only takes you, 10 minutes? You know, you're a fast reader. You know, this is one here on making your vote count, which is, again, a reminder of some of that.
Crucial.
And so these are just, again, some other resources. So in addition to the Bible Stick, which we would give to you certainly and would want to send to you as a gift for $1 a day, $30 a month. But if you want to go to that next level, $50 a month, which isn't just a whole lot more when you think about it,
right,
then that is maybe still cheaper than a coffee a day, as you've mentioned.
And depending on where you are, yes, very much so.
And then you receive not only those, but these booklets. And the one that we're giving out this month, interesting enough, is one by our good friend Lee Strobel, the Case for Christ Answer Book. And that is one where he's just taken some of about 20 of the different questions that people tend to ask and giving you very short answers. So there are just some real benefits. Membership has its privileges, as he used to say.
It does.
And we want you to be a member with us as well at the $1 a day, $30 a month, $50 level, at the $100 a month level. And we have some people right now that are listening and say, yeah, I could give you $1,000 over a year, or $1,200, or $100 a month.
We've had people do that actually in the last couple of days, and so we're grateful for those gifts. But we never want to demean the size of the gift. Or that's really not the issue. $25, and you're saying, man, that's part of my grocery money, and I'm going to do the best I can. We understand that. We are simply asking you to pray and obey. See what God would have you give, and then follow Him. Don't follow us. We got suggestions of amounts all day long, but really, when it comes down to it, you need to talk to our Lord and see what He would have you do to support us. 800-347-5151. Looking for 5 of you now. We got to pick up the pace.
Yes,
5 callers. 800-347-5151. Especially if you're a brand new listener, a brand new giver, we'd love to hear from you. 800-347-5151.
I noticed Kathy had actually posted something on Facebook there, and some other people had as well. And if you go to Facebook right now, there was a Facebook recommendation where somebody said, I've been listening to Point of View since the mid-1980s. That was Marlon Maddox. And for a while, I was a guest. Then I was a guest host, then a co-host, and whatever. But he said, since my husband was in the Air Force at the time, we were not able to hear any or all the program in every place where we were stationed. At times, it was recorded and played back at our location. And she says, now I'm thankful that I can hear Point of View on demand. That is, you can get an app on your phone.
Fantastic.
And even when I'm out of the state or even when I'm out of the country, I can listen to Point of View. As a matter of fact, when I was in Hungary, we just hooked up my iPad to the screen, and people in this big screen could see Penna Dexter, Kelly Shackelford, and others that were actually doing the show.
Cool.
And she says, I've learned to have a consistent biblical worldview. I've listened to Point of View, and it's educated me on so many different areas. And you know, Kathy, as well as I do, that we really need to be about the education of individuals, because if all you know about the political arena, if all you know is about education, you're a teacher, if all you know about many of these other important issues that affect us is what is presented in the mainstream media, you got a problem. You need to get another point of view.
You do, and that's the thing, and especially, pun intended. Where's the drum? Good one, Kirby. I love it. But that's the thing. You're talking about, teaching and about the youth, and it's so crucial, because I think they're being blindsided because they just take their cues off their Twitter feed, and the fake news gets out there. So you have to have a plan to combat that. And Point of View does. And Point of View offers the youth of our country, again, the truth. And I can't express how important that is. You're not just going off emotions. Absolutely, we're passionate about this. We wouldn't be here if we weren't. But it's the truth. That's key.
Yeah, and faith, family, and freedom. And in just a little bit, we're going to talk about, again, for our national audience, all the topics that aren't addressed. And part of it is that they aren't using that faith, family, freedom grid that we use. They're not using a biblical point of view as a grid. So a lot of stories never get covered. If they are, they're covered poorly. And you know as well as I do, you've had reporters ask you all sorts of questions, and sometimes you just roll your eyes going, they don't even understand this issue. My favorite illustration is years ago when Jimmy Carter's talking about being born again. Somebody asked Cal Thomas, he said, well, are you born again? And he said, well, what do you mean by that? And she says, well, you know. He says, well, I know, but I don't know if you know. And she didn't. She couldn't even come up with She didn't know what an evangelical was. She didn't know what a born again was. And they're covering the news. And you're going to get the straight scoop from somebody who doesn't even, to use your teenage daughter's favorite word, clueless.
Yes, yes. And that's the thing. It's so important to have people who know what they're talking about, like you, Brad, like you, Kirby, like Kelly Shackelford, like Penna Dexter. There's so many amazing people who are part of this radio show, so let's utilize that.
Let's get the phones to ring.
Yes, we do. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. One quick thought that occurs to me. This week is full of examples of the press just making it up or leaving it out. Or, how much is enough? That's what I want to ask you. How much, where do we draw this line and say, wait a minute, stop, this is not true. So if you are with me wondering where that line is, you can help us draw that line by pledging a gift of any amount at 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. As we go out of this segment, let's get all 6 lines next door going right now.
I agree. William Barrett Travis, where are you going to draw the line?
Yes, I saw you do that. I knew what you were talking about.
Again, are you tired of it? We're going to draw the line. We want to hear from you. Okay, we're looking for those 5 callers, aren't we?
5 or 6. I'll take 6.
5 or 6. Okay, we may be 6. Okay, so I'm going to put up 6 fingers here. And the pledge line, 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. If you don't want to miss anything, well, then you can go to pointofview.net. You can do it during the break here or do it while you're listening to the program.
Light them up.
800-347-5151. We'll be back.
Kerby Anderson can't call George Soros.
Former U.S. Representative and Army Lieutenant Colonel Alan West understands what many forget. Preserving liberty has a cost. It's you versus George Soros. It's like David versus Goliath, and we know how that turned out. But just as David had to go to the brook, select 5 smooth stones, you have to throw off lethargy and indifference and join the team. Point of View Radio's Truth Team needs you this week, right now, today. Don't let the giant win. When you give today, your entire first year of giving will be matched up to $10,000. Every monthly investment doubled. But you have to sling your stone right now. Visit pointofview.net/team or make a short phone call, 1-800-347-5151.
This is what we're up against, folks. And if you want to keep your freedom, if you want to pass on with the greatness of the United States of America to your children or grandchildren, let's help support this ministry.
pointofview.net/team and 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
I just want to thank you so much for all the wonderful programming you have. You're just absolutely fantastic.
I recently started listening to Point of View, and I really found it interesting because of the different subjects you cover. Thank you for that.
I really appreciate everything that you do in keeping us informed.
Thank you, Kerby, for everything that you have been doing. I appreciate all the work that you're doing, advocating for the Word of God. Thank you so much.
Point of View, I think, is absolutely necessary because it's a Christian perspective, a biblical worldview perspective, and receive very current, up-to-date information about what is really going on, week to week in our culture, which is changing so rapidly, and yet it's morally sliding backwards.
Yeah, I'm just, first of all, I thank you guys. Y'all's program is wonderful, and enjoy it every day. I learn so much every time I listen to it.
Point of View Radio Talk Show.
Hi, this is Kerby Anderson. You know, each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging: apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, friends and society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View starts right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Thank you for joining me, and it is our Friday weekend edition. It is also the last day of our Truth Team Week, and we've seen a cloture vote in the United States Senate. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. Also, some incredible economic news, which is not really being covered, in part because everybody's focusing on Judge Brett Kavanaugh, but also because it's good news for, say, the Trump administration, good news for the economy, and so we're not hearing anything about that. So we'll cover some of those stories as well. And all through the week, we've had our good friend Brad Fisk with us as well.
Glad to be here and excited about what God's going to do today.
I am too.
Amen.
And let me introduce that other female voice that you just heard, and that is Kathy Ward. Kathy is a good friend, actually done some things with us on other broadcasts, and this may be the first time some of you get a chance to hear her voice, but an individual that served as the Collin County Commissioner. She's been a political activist, actually also worked as a national committee woman for the Young Republican National Federation and vice chair of that, all sorts of other activities, and probably getting to be best known for those in the radio world as one of the co-hosts for JP, Kathy, and the Crew. So, Kathy, thank you for being here today.
Well, again, it's such an honor to be here with gentlemen like yourself, Kerby and Brad. Thank you so much. And Point of View, and again, hey, if you're tuning in, call us at 1-800-347-5151.
Hey, let me interrupt for a minute. I got some news.
Okay.
I got some great news. Who can repeat after me? $10,000.
$10,000
just walked in the door, but we don't get a penny of that until it's matched dollar for dollar. So let me explain. Let me explain, as they say. I'm going to explain.
Explain it to
I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, that means if you give $1 a day and you want to pick up that Bible stick as a free thank you gift, that's terrific. That's great. But guess what? Your $1 a day becomes $2 a day. So that $360 a year becomes $720. Boom, just like that. You give a $5 single gift, it becomes $10. $100 becomes $200. You know, if you give $1,000 a month, it becomes $2,000 a month. I love how that works, doesn't you? Because what I love about it, it works at any level of any gift, whether it's a single gift or whether it's a monthly gift. But this is the last day, you guys.
It's the last day.
We're throwing all in. All the chips are on the table, and we're asking you to call and get in on this match challenge. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. 5151. It's a 2 to 3 minute phone call. Okay, and you can do it online if you want at pointofview.net. It's just as easy there. You do not have to have the pledge in hand right now. This could be something for the future that you're going to give in the next year. Hey, do it any way you want to do it, but give us a call. Let us know you're standing with us. There's never been, I don't think, a more important time for Point of View to expand and to be strengthened, because we have a lot of stuff coming up, let alone the confirmation stuff, the midterm elections. There's a lot going on, and we're asking for your support. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. 5151.
And again, you can go to the website, pointofview.net, and certainly we're going to have a chance to hear from Kelly Shackelford in just a little bit later, Penna Dexter. Of course, you've known both of those individuals, Kathy,
the world
for years.
Of both of them.
And so, again, we encourage you to give us a call. And let me just mention real quickly, because we won't spend a lot of time on it, but while we are covering, and probably will spend some time talking about the confirmation hearings for Judge Kavanaugh, you oftentimes ask the question, and I do, Kathy, what would be covered covered if the mainstream media wasn't covering those topics. And one of
Good
those
question.
that is really important is to recognize that today CNNBC, so it means it must be true, has found that the unemployment rate is the lowest it's been since the Vietnam War.
That's
the
incredible.
lowest rate since 1969.
Thank the good Lord. That's amazing. That's amazing.
That is. And the Hispanic rate now, and this comes from another story that's on a different website, interestingly enough. You almost have to go to all these websites to find these, that the Hispanic unemployment rate is the lowest in history of any time they've ever measured it. And in the midst of this conflict, Kathy, I want to get your comments. You would expect that this would not be good for the president. Actually, the latest Rasmussen tracking poll has him now at 51%.
And for those of you who are new to politics, you would think, oh, that's not very high. It should be 78, 90, whatever. 51% for a president at this point in time in his presidency is newsworthy.
Yes.
It's factual. And again, we're speaking the truth here. And y'all always speak the truth here on Point of View. So by donating, by calling in at 800-347-5151, this is your opportunity to help Point of View continue to make such a valuable difference.
Yes, and just think it'd be a lot higher than 51% if you didn't tweet. You know, every one of us around this table and all of our other guests just say, "Would he just stop saying some of the things he said?"
You know, so many times I don't know about you, but I get involved. I hear the negative news and I go, "That's not fair. That's wrong," and I want to do something, right?
Yes,
but there's nothing I can do. I mean, I can call my congressman, but he won't probably even take my call. That's a different story. And
there is a story there. I want to hear about that on the break.
But anyway, we're not going there. But what I really love about Point of View is they're watching my back.
Yes.
I can go and I can see stuff. And what I really appreciate, Kerby, is the research and time you spend, especially finding those links online.
Right.
Because that's where a lot of the gems are buried. That's where a lot of truth is actually being talked
You
about.
bet.
Not
You
on the
bet.
mainstream press. So you guys can make a difference by giving us a call at 800-347-5151. This is not about us. This is not about anybody in the studio or anybody at Point of View.
No.
This is about you and you, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. That's what it's about. 800-347-5151.
You know, one of the things that we say is that you're supporting more than just the radio program. For example,
Yes.
today we have posted the statement by Judge Brett Kavanaugh. If you've said, I want to just see what he said and not filtered through the mainstream press, this goes on for 2 pages, and it is something he wrote up about how he is honored to actually still be considered. And then we have one that I want to get to a little bit later with Kathy, women who actually know Judge Brett Kavanaugh and share why they #stand with Brett. Want to hear a woman's perspective on that.
Oh, and I can't wait to give it.
Another thing is my commentary today is on the decline of America. Some people said, okay, why are we concerned about where America's going? And Penna Dexter's commentary, which we will actually have a chance to hear later if you listen online, weaponizing sexual accusations. So when you call in and make your pledge, and you don't have to have all the money right now, but if you would want to make that pledge, this is a way in which you're supporting the videos. We have a take action item there, which allows you to just type in your zip code. It will pop up your 2 senators and then gives you a suggested message you can send. We couldn't make it any easier unless we did it for them. We almost have. All of that you are supporting when you go to the website, pointofview.net, or when you give us a call right now. Again, that pledge line number, 800-347-5151.
Yes, there's room for you on the telephones. No busy signal. 800-347-5151. Once you prayerfully consider, pray and obey. See what God would have you do and do it. And I believe right now, guys, I'm just believing. I really believe that there's 3 people that could do $1,000 or more. I really, right now, they could just pick up the phone and they say, you know what, I can do that. I can support this. This is really important. There is nobody else like this. 800-347-5151.
Let me just mention, when we come back, we're going to have a chance to hear from Kelly Shackelford. He couldn't be with us today. He's at a very important meeting, but he recorded something with us, so we'll get a chance to hear from him. But as we go to a break, before we even hear from Kelly Shackelford, we want to hear from you. 800-347-5151, 800-347-5151. Of course, you can also go to the website, pointofview.net. Click on the banner that says Beacon of Truth. Every dollar doubled.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
2 weeks ago, my commentary was all about good news that is rarely covered by the press since it really isn't considered news. I wanted to come back and talk about some bad news that is also rarely covered by the press because it's too much in the future when the focus on news is what's happening now. Tyler Cohen wrote about what he called the decline and fall of the American empire. He doesn't think that America's falling apart right now, but he does see some ominous trends in the future. I like to think of these as challenges that we and our leaders, both political and spiritual, will need to confront in the future. First, he is rightly concerned about the shrill public debate. We see this in the inability for Congress to pass meaningful legislation to the recent circus atmosphere surrounding the nominee to the Supreme Court. Politics is ugly, and that makes it unlikely that the political sphere will adequately address the nation's pressing problems. A second concern will be federal spending. Aging and entitlements will force the next president, whether Democratic or Republican, to look for a mix of spending cuts and tax increases. The growing national debt will force politicians to cut back on infrastructure maintenance, and he concludes that much of the country will end up looking like, forgive the colloquial phrase, a dump. Advances in technology will also affect everything from our privacy to entertainment. Artificial intelligence and facial surveillance will invade our privacy. High-tech virtual reality will entice many to live in a cyber world where life is easy and everyone is beautiful. And driverless cars will reduce accidents, but they will probably make the roads more crowded. Many believe these trends spell the decline of America. I like to think of these trends as challenges we need to address as we move through the 21st century. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
Take Kerby and the Point of View team with you on the go with the Point of View app. Search for Point of View Radio at the Apple or Google Play stores. Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Hi, this is Michael Ferris. I am the President, CEO, and General Counsel of Alliance Defending Freedom, and I've been friends with Point of View Radio for decades. This is such a great radio ministry. I'm personally a partner with Point of View, and I would encourage each of you to be a partner. Point of View gets information in a timely fashion to people who need to know the truth, and Point of View brings you the truth. It brings you a Christian perspective on the news, and it calls you to prayer and action in a timely manner. I'll never forget the day that freedom was preserved in the homeschool arena because of the work of Point of View Radio, leading the charge on that. And so always been grateful for that and would encourage you to be a part of the Point of View team. God bless you.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Michael Ferris with ADF, and an organization that has been around for a long time. Individuals also, of course, has been leading the charge on the Homeschool Legal Defense Fund and also founding Patrick Henry College and many others. But again, he's been with us, and just the last year won 2 Supreme Court cases. We had him on earlier in the week talking about some of the other cases that are going before the court as well. And that will get to a conversation I want to have with Kathy in just a minute. One of our articles, Women Who Actually Know Judge Brett Kavanaugh, and share why they #stand with Brett. But Brad Fisk with us, and we've got some thank yous.
Some thank
already.
yous. Yeah, I want to say thanks to Bob, our first $1,000 giver this afternoon. Thank you very much for that. Looking for 2 more within this hour. 2 more checking in at 1,000. Thank you. Randy with a $500 gift and a single gift from Cynthia. Thank you from Ohio, actually, and then one from Texas, and I don't know the other state.
It's hard to read. Yeah. People are writing real fast.
But that's what, yes,
then,
they are.
Yeah.
But listen, we're so
Put
grateful.
the phone down, the phone rings again. So
we can't say thanks to everybody on the air. We'd love to, but I'm going to say thank you collectively right now for your gift of support at 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. 5151, and you can also give online at pointofview.net.
I want to hear from Kathy Ward for just a minute because you can give us a female perspective. We're having a number of women saying, wait a minute, we worked with this man for years, 100 different letters that were personally delivered, hand-delivered, testifying to his character. 65 women that said, we knew him in high school and we never saw anything like that. And again, I recognize that we don't know exactly what happened to Dr. Ford. Something tragic did, whether he was responsible or not. But again, as I look at that, just trying to be somewhat objective, saying usually if an individual is a accuser, a rapist, an individual that is engaged in some kind of activity, it shows up again. Think of Bill Cosby or others.
Repeat offenders.
Yeah, and
Bill Clinton.
I just don't see that. But what about this? There are a number of women that said, just because of a woman doesn't mean I have to always believe that Dr. Ford is right and that Judge Kavanaugh's wrong.
You're right. And, I'm going to start off with people back when Wendy Davis first ran against Governor Greg Abbott here in the great state of Texas. I had people come up to me and say, well, but I know you're real into politics, but you have to vote for a woman. Same thing with Hillary Clinton when she ran for president. Well, you have to vote. No, because you know what? I do my research. I look on a Point of View's website. I read what's out there. And so I want to support somebody who supports what I support. So I find that extremely insulting as a woman when people automatically assume, oh, well, you're going to be with the female in this story. And I do agree with you, Kerby. Dr. Ford needs our prayers. And I think a lot of us have been praying for her to make sure she gets the help she needs so she can lead a fulfilling life. But let's talk about the women whose voices have been silenced. And they have literally been silenced by the progressive left, by the liberal media. And these are the women who have worked with him day by day, long hours, working on extremely crucial cases. And you don't hear that. Where is the news? And again, I always thought, news is supposed to be, report the facts. So as a listener or as a viewer, I want to see, okay, this is what this side has said. This is what this side has said. Here are the facts. And then let me respect my intelligence, respect my ability to make my own decision as a woman. And I feel like this is such hypocrisy because if you're not reporting what the women, and there's hundreds of women who have written letters in defense of Judge Kavanaugh. Where are those letters? Where are they?
Nowhere.
At least we have an article that people can read and
again,
see the summary.
And so they can come to Point of View and find that information. And again, y'all are some of the only ones who have that information out there.
Let's talk about one other issue. You've heard this as well, and that is this was a cover-up. This was not an extensive enough survey. Now, recognize you've had 6 different previous FBI investigations, whether when he was working for Judge Starr, whether he was working for George W. Bush, whether he was on the circuit court or the D.C. court, which is kind of the farm club for the Supreme Court. Now this is the 7th one. Now they said it's too superficial. It's 1,500 pages.
I don't know how that's superficial.
And if you add up all the people over those 7 investigations, it's more than 100. I've seen some people say 150, but I think they've double counted. In other words, if they talked to maybe a high school friend when he was running or when he was being nominated for different courts, maybe they talked to the same person. But, in round numbers, 100 plus people, we'll leave it at that. You have 100 plus letters from women that have said, this is not the Judge Kavanaugh that I know. So if he really is this mean individual,
this horrible, vile individual, then
remarkable opportunity to hide every bit of that.
And you can't. And in today's day and age, social media is so prevalent. Everybody's got a camera and a video camera with their cell phone. If this guy is such a bad guy, where's the proof? And again, how many times do you have to exhaust an FBI investigation? And like you mentioned, 6, now 7 times. And again, this is a man who we've heard about for years and years and years. He's been part of a higher court, and he's been making crucial decisions, and
all of a sudden he's a bad guy now.
Well, then, okay, so where were the complaints then?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
seriously,
thinking the
Brad,
same
where
thing.
were the complaints
How did
then?
he ever get to the level of judgeship he's at now?
Right.
This is like I said, this is crazy. But people are just making this up, trying to stop the nomination because, well, we all know why.
Yeah. And again,
we do.
Let me just say again, people might say, okay, I got to read it for myself. Okay, we have that article that is
Yes.
about the women who actually know Brett Kavanaugh and share why they #stand with Brett. We also posted the piece here that actually Judge Brett Kavanaugh
Yes.
wrote. And if I can quote him in one place, he says, I've talked about my long record of advancing and promoting women, including as judge. A majority of my 48 law clerks have been women. And also, of course, he's been a longtime coach of girls' basketball teams. Now, you see what everybody said. Well, you know, if you are what we think you are, you can't even coach a basketball team. And just, you know, either, as I've said before, either he has hoodwinked everybody or
for decades.
Or else he
for decades.
has been more mistreated than even Judge it was Judge Bork and Judge Clarence Thomas, who now is Justice Clarence Thomas.
Exactly,
And
yes.
I mean, one of those two. And if that doesn't get people riled up, and if nothing else, wanting to go to the Point of View website and read these articles, don't read it, don't believe it. Read what Judge Kavanaugh says. Read what, in this case, Kelsey Harkness says. We got a couple others we'll get to in just a minute. It's all there at the website.
So we didn't stage this whole thing. We have nothing to do with the sequence of events that we've been through the last several weeks.
No.
And now we will go
Look
right
where
in.
we are.
We go right into Truth Team Week, okay?
Yeah.
I don't think it's an accident that we happen to be on the air today, right now,
it's a
talking
God
about
thing.
this stuff. Because, you know, it really illustrates why. I guess I don't understand why the phones aren't lit up all the time.
I'm not either, yeah.
Because we got lots of
puzzled.
lines open right now, and I don't understand why, because we absolutely must have your support. I'll tell you why. We're a 501c3 ministry. We are donor development. We're donor dependent on you, our friends, to stand with us financially. And I can't overstate that enough. We're asking you, we're not begging you, we're asking you to prayerfully consider a gift to the ministry. That $1 a day or more, you're going to have the Bible stick as a thank you gift. How about $50 a month? How about $100 a month? Whatever level, $25 single gift, doesn't matter. Participation is what we're looking for. Every phone line lit up we're looking for. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. We're coming up on a break. A great time to call, Kerby. 800-347-5151, or you can give online at pointofview.net.
I know one of the reasons why the phones didn't ring because we've got this articulate Kathy Ward sitting across from
You're
us.
too kind, Kerby. You're too
And
kind.
the same thing happens when we have Kelly Shackelford, Penedexter. Nobody wants to call because they just want to hear that. So that's why you need to call now during the break, because when we come back, we are going to hear from Kelly Shackelford. So I need to hear from you right now. I see one person on the phone. I see one person waiting for the phone to ring and another person looking at how many other phones are available. So we have the opportunity right now for you to call 800-347-5151. Yeah. Again, 800-347-5151. And again, $10,000 match. Every dollar doubled.
That's
he was
right. I
saying.
don't want to forget that.
Don't want to forget that every dollar doubled. We'll be right back.
Kerby Anderson can't call George Soros.
Former U.S. Representative and Army Lieutenant Colonel Alan West understands what many forget. Preserving liberty has a cost. It's you versus George Soros. It's like David versus Goliath, and we know how that turned out. But just as David had to go to the brook, select 5 smooth stones, you have to throw off lethargy and indifference and join the team. Point of View Radio's Truth Team needs you this week, right now, today. Don't let the giant win. When you give today, your entire first year of giving will be matched up to $10,000. Every monthly investment doubled. But you have to sling your stone right now. Visit pointofview.net/team or make a short phone call, 1-800-347-5151.
This is what we're up against, folks. And if you want to keep your freedom, if you want to pass on with the greatness of the United States of America to your children or grandchildren, let's help support this ministry.
Pointofview.net/team and 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again, is Kerby Anderson.
Final day of our Truth Team, and again, we are encouraging you to be a beacon of truth. As I look over at our call center, it looks like a lot of people on the lines, and that is a good thing. And Brad, certainly we need to remind people that even though we can see a lot of people on the phones, we know that some will roll off to others that can
we
answer
have another
the phone,
5 or 6 lines down the hall.
They are waiting to get your call as well.
Yep. So here's what's going on. We are in the middle of a match challenge of $10,000. $10,000. That's an incredible help and boost to our Truth Team Week. But we don't get any of that money, Kerby. We don't get any of that $10,000 until it has been matched dollar for dollar. So it's sitting outside of our total, unusable. And the only way we can use it is if it's matched. So I'm not making this up. This is the way it's working. And that's how it was given to us by our friends of the ministry to encourage you to give. 1-800-347-5151. $10,000 match. What that means is any monthly gift. This is a great time to give monthly because the monthly gift gets doubled for the entire year.
That's right. 360 becomes 720.
Yeah, we don't just do 1 month.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
yes.
Good math.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, we have 3 open calls now.
3 open lines.
Okay, so
800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. 5151. Let's get every single line occupied.
Now, again, you know that during our weekend edition, we certainly have a time, most of the time, to talk with Kelly Shackelford. He has to be at a very important meeting right now, so I had a chance to talk with him and get some of his comments. So often on Friday, we have Kelly Shackelford in studio with us. And Brad, in this particular case, he's by phone, but he wanted to share a little bit more with some of our listeners. So, Kelly, again, thank you for joining us for a few minutes today here on Friday. But tell us maybe, again, how you came to be involved with Point of View.
Wow, it goes way back. Back when I was in law school, I turned on the radio at night one night and heard a replay, or I think it was a replay, and this Marlon Maddox guy was on, and he was talking about the big issues of the day, but from a biblical viewpoint. And I had never heard a show like that before, and I just thought it was fascinating and became a big fan. And who would have known that years later, all of a sudden, you know, I was coming on the show to be interviewed by Marlon Maddox. That was kind of like my, I don't know, my point of legitimacy. I thought I'd really made it because I actually got to talk to Marlon Maddox. And so I was able to continue just, you know, loving what Point of View did, loving you know, the information they get out, and to be on the show and to be a part of it. And again, had no idea then that even later on I would be able to be co-hosting with you, Kerby, and Penna at times, and others, and actually being on the show even in that way. It's just been a thrill, and it's a wonderful ministry that fills a need that really no one else fills, and so it's so unique in what it does, and it's so valuable to people all over the country.
Kelly, anybody that knows your life knows that you don't just have hours to throw away, and so as somebody who is very busy on Fox News, running a huge organization, and even sometimes going to events in Washington, D.C., why do you spend so much of your time on Friday on Point of View?
Well, I think it's crucial. I mean, it's the lifeblood out there to you know, Christian stations all over the country. Just a large number of people all over the country listen on Fridays, and especially Fridays is the day when we focus on, you know, the current events of the week and of the day, politics, government, et cetera, but all from a biblical viewpoint. And again, you can't get that anywhere else. I mean, you can turn on the major networks. You might even find conservative outlets, but not a, you know, Christian worldview approach to all these major things that are going on in the day. And so it's just, there's nothing like it. And so it's a privilege to be a part of it, to be able to analyze what's going on, to try to do it in as solid a biblical way as we possibly can, so that, and then people call in and add extra insights. And I just think, you know, we get to the truth, and a lot of other people are playing games around the country, or they just don't have a biblical worldview. They don't even know how to think about these things. But to be able to do it and to really, you know, call people to prayer and to analyze these things and what the Word says and how do we approach these very difficult situations that are swirling around us these days, it's a privilege, and it's great to be a part of it.
Hey, Kelly, you know, Brad here, and you know that we are on the final day of our Truth Team Week, and our theme this year is Beacon of Truth. And we also know this. We know that thousands of our listeners listening right now have not yet joined the financial family of Point of View. Could you speak to those individuals and just convince them why it is so important to support financially Point of View?
Yeah, let me speak from experience. I mean, I run a group called First Liberty Institute that all we do is religious freedom, and there's people all the time that tell me, man, I love what you guys do. Man, I'm so behind you, but they've never supported it. And I'm always amazed by that, but I think it's even more so with Point of View. There are so many people that so benefit from the information that they get and the information that they're then able to talk to their friends about or be more informed or be more biblically aligned. And yet the vast amount of people have never supported it. And so I just encourage people, if you're benefiting from this, make sure that you pitch in, that you be a part of this, not only for yourself, but so that other people can hear and be able to benefit from what you are. Because if without the support, then stations have to be drawn back. Less stations, people would be able to hear this on, and fewer people would be able to be involved. And so if you value it, which you do if you're listening to Point of View, I encourage you, get involved for yourself, for your family, for your neighbors, but also for others all over the country that you're going to help benefit being able to hear the truth about these big issues of the day.
Kelly Shackelford, thank you so very much, and we look forward to seeing you in the studio in the future.
I look forward to it again, Kerby.
Kathy Ward, one of the things we've said so often is that we spend time talking to these individuals who benefited from Point of View and then got involved in various political activities.
Absolutely. And I'm very fortunate, Kelly, who I just think the world of, I just have tremendous respect for him and what he's done and the good work he continues to do. He's one of those people. And again, when I've been in this political gig for 30 years, as the majority of the time as a volunteer and just an activist. And Kelly's one of those people that early on, before I was a Republican Party chairman in Collin County, before I was county commissioner, sat down, talked with me, was kind, was gracious, helped educate me. And, he talks about hearing Marlon Maddox and how that made an impact to him. Well, Kelly Shackelford's that way to me. Penna Dexter's that way to me. And it's important
We're
because
passing the baton on.
Yes, and these are people who they talk the talk and they walk the walk. These are good people. They have integrity.
And a good illustration of, he listened to that. Just recently we talked about how Mike Pence, of course, interacted with us. We had Robert Jeffers on. He used to listen to us when he was a seminary student. Mike Huckabee listened when he was a seminary student over Southwestern Baptist Seminary. Michelle Bachman, when at age of 19, listened to Point of View.
Wow.
And, of course, those are people in the past. But one of the things, Brad, we talk about is your gift today won't help those in the past. Your gift today won't even help those right this moment, but it will help those in the future. And we really want to reach out to the next generation as well.
It's the pay it forward concept. That's exactly what it is. We're asking you to pay it forward. We must develop young leaders who understand the biblical worldview accurately and can tell truth even when it's hard, even when you're getting crucified, whether you're persecuted. That's important, very important. So let me put a challenge out. Looking for 2 more people, Kerby, at $1,000 a month or more. 2 more $1,000 gifts that way, and then 2 single gifts of $1,000. How about 6 of you at $1 a day right now? Then how about 10 of you with a single gift? Really need to hear from you. Why? Because this is our final day of our 5-day event we call Truth Team, and it's all about being a beacon of truth. Will you be the next beacon to call us? 800-347-5151, 1-800-347-5151.
Let me just mention, too, when we come back, we're going to hear from a little bit from Jeremy Dice. Matter of fact, those of you listening online actually hear his commentary because he does this with Kelly Shackelford on the First Liberty briefing. Jeremy Dice first listened to it. Boy, does this make me feel old. When he's in the back seat of a carpool car while he's waiting for his sister to finish your music lesson. Oh, I feel old now. But anyway, you're going to have a chance to hear from some others. But again, this is the idea of paying it forward. Are you ready to have an impact on the next generation? We need to hear from you. That number is 800-347-5151. Kathy, you believe that people should call that number, shouldn't they?
Absolutely. 800-347-5151 or go to pointofview.net. I mean, you can. It's so easy to donate online or call in. Do we have
Kathy? If I gave you $100, it becomes what with our match?
$200.
That's right.
And I'm not good at math.
If it's $1,000, how much is the match?
$2,000.
There you go. I love that. It works so great. Come
Brad
on,
was
you
like,
guys.
pull out your calculator in case
Give
you
us
need
a
it.
call. 800-347-5151. You can help us with the matching. Okay, way to go, Kathy. 800-347-5151. Lines are open. It is a 2 to 3 minute phone call. You can also give at pointofview.net. Pointofview.net. Come on, we're waiting for your call. We got our catcher's mitt on. Go ahead, throw the worst pitch you got. We'll get it.
The loudest female voices regarding the allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh were those denouncing Senator's support for him and demanding it be justified with more investigation. Less reported were the numerous women who called Senate offices in support of Kavanaugh and who were critical of what they saw as a political lynching that unfairly destroyed the reputation of a brilliant jurist and family man. The Me Too movement is shining a bright light on sexual abuse by powerful men. In this, it's a powerful tool for good. But it's been clear during this confirmation battle that the movement has also become a weapon for political destruction. Certain senators worried, how will my stand on the confirmation play to female voters? We can no longer assume that most voters want accusations of sexual misdeeds evaluated by substantive argument and by corroboration of charges. We don't know anymore how many Americans prefer a different standard, a sort of politics by belief, in which, when it's about anything sexual, the woman must be believed and the accused man faces the presumption of guilt. There are legal standards for judging the truthfulness of accusers and defenders. But politicians are terrified to say an accuser, like Christine Ford, might be unstable or have memory issues. Statements of skepticism about the credibility or the motivation of the accuser are simply not allowed because they would re-victimize her. And not only her, but every woman who may have been sexually assaulted. The accused is scrutinized, the female accuser, not so much. Overuse of these cynical tactics will eventually dilute protections for real victims. When legitimate allegations of sexual misconduct are made, we'll tend to dismiss them as political. PC kid glove treatment of accusations at the expense of truth harms men and women. The weaponization of the Me Too movement has created a toxic environment that has the potential to destroy our political decision-making. Senators standing against this are heroes. For Point of View, I'm Penna Dexter.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
I just want to encourage all those of you who say you're Christians, help keep Point of View on the air. We cannot afford to allow these stations to go empty. We need good Christian input because evil is taking over. Please support Point of View.
I just wanted to let y'all know that I greatly thank God for Point of View Ministries. I'm one of those, few but very proud conservative millennials, and I've been listening to Point of View for about 12 years now. And after listening to the show over the years, I've realized that I'm supposed to be for truth. I'm supposed to be a Christian and then a conservative, and I'm supposed to look at all this that's going on around us in today's culture through a biblical lens. And I can't thank y'all enough for that.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Need to hear from you, 1-800-347-5151. And if you listened earlier in the week, you heard some of the individuals that have been on this program talking about how the other side has money. And I pulled this off of the MoveOn.org website. Now, that's funded by George Soros. You know who George Soros is.
Yes,
okay.
well, he's not a friend, but I know of him. Let's just say that.
Okay, and they say that Brett Kavanaugh would rule for a generation against reproductive freedom. That's really abortion. Health care, the environment, voting rights, worker rights, LGBT rights, immigration rights, siding with big corporations, big money, and the Trump agenda. So they're just saying, you know, we cannot support anything that's happening right now in the administration. We cannot support those individuals in Congress that would vote for Brett Kavanaugh, and we cannot support Brett Kavanaugh. So I'd like to hear from some people that are listening to say, no, I disagree with George Soros, and I'm sad that George Soros puts all his money towards liberal, progressive functions, and in particular says, I just love this idea of reproductive freedom, you know. I mean, it just is a way of saying we want to be able to just make sure that abortion stays legal in every way.
Abortion on demand.
Yes. Right.
I mean, that's what this all comes down to. With Judge Kavanaugh, that's what this comes down to. Let's talk about speaking the truth, and that's what we do here at Point of View. It's about abortion on demand,
You know,
period.
the funding model is, we've talked about this, the funding model is very different with the liberal organizations that are out to, for instance, you know, they're totally pro abortion, they're not pro-life, and there's all those other issues that follow on. We on this side, we're dependent on you, the listener. We don't have a lot of guys who write 7- and 8-figure checks to organizations, but they do on the other side. But it was said earlier this week by another guest we had in here, and talking about the funding model and how we have the people. We have the majority. And much of it's silent, but we do have the majority.
We do.
We just need to fire them up so that they go to the polls and vote, not according to their own personal taste, but following the biblical mandate of who they should be voting for.
Let's, if we can, just again hear from some of the individuals. Just a minute ago, of course, we heard from Kelly Shackelford. Let me just say we're going to hear from Penna Dexter next hour. So we'll get to that as well.
Penna Dexter.
And you've known Penna for a long time. But a lot of people that listen to this online also hear the first Liberty briefing that is done by Jeremy Dice. And I thought for just a minute you might like to hear from Jeremy Dice when he first heard about Point of View.
I listened to Point of View when I was probably in the 3rd and 4th grade, and that's really where I started hearing how to begin to integrate what you believed with what was going on in the world today. Point of View certainly allowed me to see the world around me in a different way than I would have seen it otherwise. And so I was much more aware of the things that are going on, much more aware of the dangers that people of faith will face in the world around them, and the dangers that come with the loss of our religious liberty. And so it certainly made me think about how do you defend your faith in public and what's the best means of doing that. And for me, outworking of that was just to go right into law school and to be able to defend the faith and defend people of faith in their day-to-day lives. For Point of View to have influenced my life at an early stage of my life, to be able to begin helping me think through important issues of the day so that we would be able to apply what we believe to what we do, that is carried with me to this day.
Point of View. Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
3rd or 4th grade. Just think about this. There may be some 3rd graders, 4th graders listening right now. I've watched Jeremy go get a law degree. I watch him on Fox News. And like I said, Kathy, I feel a little bit old when I realized he was listening when he was in the 3rd.
Age is a state of mind, Kirby. You're just fine. You're just fine.
That just shows you about that pay it forward.
That's
you
right.
know,
That's
Marlon
right.
Maddox and Penna Dexter and Kelly Shackelford and Kerby Anderson had no idea there's this young guy that is going to eventually go to law school and then stand for religious liberty.
Right.
And one of his key cases, by the way, while we're talking about the importance of Judge Kavanaugh, is a case that the Supreme Court is going to consider, and it's the Bladenberg Cross. Now, this is a cross. It was a peace cross to really actually focus on the fact that we lost so many young men from the Maryland area during the end of World War I. We're coming up to the anniversary, the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I, and the various secularists want to tear down the cross. Kathy, this is interesting. In one of the conversations in the court, one of the judges said, well, maybe you don't have to tear it down. Let's just cut the arms off the cross.
Then it's not the cross. And then that just, that makes me sick to my stomach.
And so this is a
Twisted
case
logic.
that is being considered right now before the Supreme Court. If Kelly were here today, we'd be talking about that. Jeremy Dice has been on with us, and we've talked about that. And so a lot of people say, what is the significance of Judge Kavanaugh? Well, if you tear down that cross, it's in the Fourth Circuit Court. There are a lot of other crosses in places like Arlington Cemetery that would have to be torn down. So this is what's at stake, Brad.
You know, it's just silliness. I mean, it's just a lack of common sense. And I know I have lots of friends. I've been around a long time. And people just shake their heads and say, this is absolutely nuts.
Right.
What are we thinking here? And it's just crazy. And so we stand against that. And I can't say this enough about point of view. There are talk shows. There's lots of talk shows out there of all kinds on all kinds of political spectrums. But we stand with a biblical view of the culture. We stand what the Bible says. If it doesn't say it, then we don't believe it. And that's really where we need to go. That is an anchor, Kerby, of this radio show. I happen to believe that's one of the reasons why God has blessed 46 years of continuous broadcasting. That's what you're investing in. If we were going to do it wrong, we would have been off the air a long time ago. But we're not. And there's a reason we're not. Because people like you have called and pledged and given. And that's what we're asking you to do right now. We have lines open at 800-347-5151. Give for the legacy of Point of View. Won't you please give to honor this over 4 decades of broadcast excellence? 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Every dollar you give right now will be doubled up to $10,000. And you can also give at pointofview.net.
Let me encourage you to go to pointofview.net because you're going to find two things, a way in which you can give, and we'll talk about that, but also the articles we've mentioned, the statement by Judge Kavanaugh. I want you to read what he had to say, where he sat down and wrote this, and it was available. You can get it on Wall Street Journal. Most people don't get the Wall Street Journal. I do, so we put it there. Women supporting Kavanaugh.
Yes.
And then also one by Brandon Morse, moving the goalpost, how the game was played by the Democrats. And so if you find yourself saying, I want to get some facts, because I've heard you guys talk about that, but I got to talk to my skeptical friends, or I'm going to be out on Facebook, and I know immediately, you know what Facebook is. They're going to say, how do you believe that? Why do you say that? Or whatever. We've given you that ammunition. So as you go to the website, you can also give by clicking on that banner that says Beacon of Truth. And, of course, you can also give us a call. And this is a perfect time to call because you're going to want to hear Penna Dexter.
Yes.
And, of course, you want to keep hearing Kathy Ward. We're going to be talking with Tim Wildman. He's recorded some material. We've got lots to cover. So let's have you call right now. 800-347-5151. If we blow out the lines, you might just be on hold for a second. Just wait, and we'll get to you right away. 800-347-5151. Every dollar doubled. We have that $10,000 match on the table. We need to hear from you right now.
Kerby Anderson can't call George Soros.
Former U.S. Representative and Army Lieutenant Colonel Alan West understands what many forget. Preserving liberty has a cost. It's you versus George Soros. It's like David versus Goliath, and we know how that turned out. But just as David had to go to the brook, select 5 smooth stones, you have to throw off lethargy and indifference and join the team. Point of View Radio's Truth Team needs you this week, right now, today. Don't let the giant win. When you give today, your entire first year of giving will be matched up to $10,000. Every monthly investment doubled. But you have to sling your stone right now. Visit pointofview.net/team or make a short phone call, 1-800-347-5151.
This is what we're up against, folks. And if you want to keep your freedom, if you want to pass on with the greatness of the United States of America to your children or grandchildren, let's help support this ministry.
Pointofview.net/team and 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
I just want to thank you so much for all the wonderful programming you have. You're just absolutely fantastic.
I recently started listening to Point of View, and I really found it interesting because of the different subjects you cover. Thank you for that.
I really appreciate everything that you do in keeping us informed.
Thank you, Kerby, for everything that you have been doing. I appreciate all the work that you're doing, advocating for the Word of God. Thank you so much.
Point of view, I think, is absolutely necessary because it's a Christian perspective, a biblical worldview perspective, and receive very current, up-to-date information about what is really going on, week to week in our culture, which is changing so rapidly, and yet it's morally sliding backwards.
Yeah, I'm just, first of all, I thank you guys. Y'all's program is wonderful, and enjoy it every day. I learn so much every time I listen to it.
Point of View Radio Talk Show.
Hi, this is Kerby Anderson. You know, each day we take on the tough issues and provide a biblical perspective to them. The topics we cover are wide-ranging: apologetics, theology, prophecy, creation and evolution, intelligent design, marriage, family, child-rearing, the millennial generation, trends in society, politics, economics, business, religious liberty, the Constitution, public policy, foreign policy, military policy, tensions in the Middle East, abortion, homosexuality, pornography, sexual ethics, media, technology, history, and America's godly heritage. We talk about anything that affects your faith, your family, or your freedom. So don't go anywhere, because Point of View continues right now.
Across America, live. This is Point of View. And now, Kerby Anderson.
Thank you for joining us. We are in the last hour of our Truth Team Week, and we certainly do welcome your phone calls. Our pledge line number is 800-347-5151. We have had a blizzard or a tsunami or whatever metaphor you want to use of phone calls, but the reality is there's still room for you. As a matter of fact, there's lots of room for you.
Yes, there is.
Because we have this, maybe tsunami is a good one, and then there's kind of a lull. All of a sudden, this is the first time I've seen some of these people being able to look up without having a phone glued to their ears. And so if you have not called and you're one of those procrastinators, which you know I've talked about you, we are in the last hour of Truth Team, and we do need to hear from you right now. 800-347-5151. We've had a $10,000 matching fund on the table. And Brad, maybe you can give us a little bit of an update.
We made a dent,
yeah, and also maybe some thank yous for some of the people.
And remember, we only do Truth Team twice a year, okay? Yep. This is a week that we set aside because we are listen, pay attention closely. We're listener-supported. Let me break that down for you. You, the listener, support us because we are listener-supported, okay? It's that easy. Let's say some thank yous. Sherry, thank you for your single gift, checking in from Texas. And Sirius, thank you from California. She increased her gift. And then Raul, I love what he said. Best news, bar none, you should be on TV at 5 p.m. I love that comment.
Love that.
Okay, Deborah, thank you very much for your gift from Morton. I know where you are. I'm going to be there next week. And thanks for joining the Truth Team at $1 a day. And there's Susan. Yes. Thank you for your single gift of $30. We appreciate that. Christopher, checking in from Ohio. Thank you for your gift. And then we've got Wilma. We have got LaDonna. We've got Jane. We've got, I'm out of breath. Okay. We have lots of people. We can't thank everybody on air, but thank you for responding. But the big news is this. There's room for you. We have plenty of room with that $10,000 match. That means if you give $1 a day, it returns into $360 for the year. It becomes $720 because that match is applied to monthly gifts for the entire year. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. If I sound excited, it's because I am. And it's your opportunity to not get left out of the blessing. Pray and obey. See what God would have you do. Thank you. 800-347-5151. I
just mentioned we have Kathy Ward with us. That's the laughter that you're hearing in the background. And
I love this.
And we're kind of
you can't be in the studio with Brad and not be all pumped up.
I know. And you two are really good at this, and that's why I wanted to bring you in here.
Kirby's trying to herd cats today.
Yeah,
God
that's
bless
okay.
you, Kirby.
That's normal.
And I am, in a sense, introducing you. We've worked with you before on the local broadcast we've done, and you are a talk show host on the local station. But I thought for just a minute you might even talk about this, because when you came to the studio, I don't know what you were expecting. Maybe you were expecting this building with 100 people and all sorts of research staff and everything. And you probably have now looked around and met just about everybody, including a few volunteers answering the phone.
Oh, some fantastic volunteers. They need more chocolates over there.
Yeah,
the ladies do.
but I think a lot of people said we do a lot of bang for the buck, don't we?
That's, I think, well, besides walking in, and it's so beautiful, and everybody's so kind and so gracious and so welcoming. They just made me feel like part of the Point of View family immediately. But I kept thinking, where's the rest of the office staff? Think about everything Point of View does and has done for, my goodness, 46 years. And to talk lean and mean and efficient staff, I am blown away. Again, you can just tell everybody here believes in what they are talking about, and they believe in what they do. And that's why we're so gracious for all. Gosh, we couldn't even get to all the people who we're trying to thank today. This is bare bones. And so in order to keep it going, and I want that $10,000 match, Brad.
Yeah, we're going to get there. And we're still looking for 2 more people at $1,000 each to help us get there. It's Excellent. The bigger gifts. It's the smaller gifts. It's the ones in between. They all count toward the $10,000. 800-347-5151.
Let's hear what a few other listeners had to say.
Point of View. Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
I just want to commend you guys on your program. I love listening to you.
I want to say, first of all, that I really enjoyed the Millennial Roundtable, and I love the program altogether. I think Kerby is great, and I really appreciate all of y'all, all that y'all do, and the truth that y'all put out.
I think you guys and gals are more right on about the assessment of this country right now than anything I've heard. You know, I go home and I tell my wife, you've got to hear what they're talking about on the show.
Point of View is actually a lifeline for me, and I'm actually a third-generation Point of View listener. I homeschool my girls, and I don't think I could do what I do without Point of View on a daily basis. Without ministries like Point of View, we really don't have much hope for the future of our children, our grandchildren. They just really help on a daily basis protect the freedoms that we enjoy today. I can't see a better way to invest in our future than to support Point of View.
Y'all's program is wonderful, and enjoy it every day. I learn so much every time I listen to it. Not only that, I want to encourage everybody listening to donate, because without our donations, I know that y'all won't be able to stay on the air, and it's just, I don't know where we get this kind of information if it wasn't from y'all.
Point of View. Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Back once again, and Kathy Ward, one of the things we've been doing is collecting some of the stories that people have called in about. And yesterday or day before, I talked about one group of individuals that got involved politically, became precinct chairman. You've been a precinct chairman.
Oh, absolutely.
I've been a precinct chairman.
One of the funnest jobs you can have.
And then eventually decided that they would homeschool their kids. And so I was reading that story, and that was from Florida. Then I turned the page and said, well, no, there's another person there that actually got involved politically and then homeschool. And here's another one that homeschooled, and here's another one that decided to begin to start a Christian school. And I began to realize that, it's not just one or the other. We are talking about faith and family and freedom. And we're talking about the political arena. We're talking about family. As a matter of fact, I was looking at some of the interviews we got coming up about how to raise your kids without them driving you crazy and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And so we're talking about all the issues. And one of the things we've talked about is no issues off the table. We talk about things that other talk shows and mainstream media never cover.
Y'all aren't scared to get out there and hit the stories that other people are like, well, maybe we shouldn't talk about that. And that's what I love about this show. It's so refreshing. I want to say something. One of the listeners who was just talking about, she said, invest in the future. And the way you can do that is by Point of View. Yep. And let's think about it. We are fighting a war. We've got this generation of kids, and by kids, I mean even people in their 20s. Now, I'm in my 50s. I can say that, people in their 20s. And then these teenagers who they are the ones, Hollywood's fighting against us. The East Coast, the West Coast, they're fighting against us, and we have got to get the word out, and Point of View is the way to get the word out.
And you can do that right now by calling 800-347-5151. We got a lot of lines going right now, but we have some lines open for you. You might be put on a hold for just a moment, maybe, but I doubt it. Pointofview.net, there is no hold. You can go there right now, and as many of you want, give. 800-347-5151. That's 800-347-5151. And you can also go online at pointofview.net. That's pointofview.net. Looking for 10 of you to call right now during the break.
This is Viewpoints with Kerby Anderson.
2 weeks ago, my commentary was all about good news that is rarely covered by the press since it really isn't considered news. I wanted to come back and talk about some bad news that is also rarely covered by the press because it's too much in the future when the focus on news is what's happening now. Tyler Cohen wrote about what he called the decline and fall of the American empire. He doesn't think that America's falling apart right now, but he does see some ominous trends in the future. I like to think of these as challenges that we and our leaders, both political and spiritual, will need to confront in the future. First, he is rightly concerned about the shrill public debate. We see this in the inability for Congress to pass meaningful legislation to the recent circus atmosphere surrounding the nominee to the Supreme Court. Politics is ugly, and that makes it unlikely that the political sphere will adequately address the nation's pressing problems. A second concern will be federal spending. Aging and entitlements will force the next president, whether Democratic or Republican, to look for a mix of spending cuts and tax increases. The growing national debt will force politicians to cut back on infrastructure maintenance, and he concludes that much of the country will end up looking like, forgive the colloquial phrase, a dump. Advances in technology will also affect everything from our privacy to entertainment. Artificial intelligence and facial surveillance will invade our privacy. High-tech virtual reality will entice many to live in a cyber world where life is easy and everyone is beautiful. And driverless cars will reduce accidents, but they will probably make the roads more crowded. Many believe these trends spell the decline of America. I like to think of these trends as challenges we need to address as we move through the 21st century. I'm Kerby Anderson, and that's my point of view.
Take Kerby and the Point of View team with you on the go with the Point of View app. Search for Point of View Radio at the Apple or Google Play stores. Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildman, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio, and we air Point of View on AFR, American Family Radio. Folks, Kerby Anderson and the team there deserve your financial support during this time. They don't ask a lot, but when they do ask, they need your financial support to make the ministry whole, to keep promoting the gospel and the truth about what's going on in our country. We consider them kindred spirits and partner in ministry at Point of View with us here at American Family Radio. So if you would, write them a check, give them a donation with your credit card, whatever you can do to help them keep the cause of Christ before the public on their radio program, Point of View.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Well, that's a legacy goes back because
It
Donald
does.
Wildman and Marlon Maddox, best of friends.
Yep.
Tim Wildman and I count ourselves as friends and acquaintances and co-belligerents, to use a Francis Schaeffer term, in the battle together, working on these various issues. And in just a minute, we're going to hear from Penna Dexter because, we're missing someone. We don't have Kelly Shackelford, so we heard from him last hour. We don't have Penna Dexter. We're going to hear from her in just a minute. Of course, we have Kathy Ward, which is a great substitute. You are so good to have here. But where are we doing? How are we doing on this?
Well, we started with some friends of the ministry got together, and they actually gave us a $10,000 match challenge. Now, here's the deal. It doesn't go in the total until it's matched. Dollar for dollar. In other words, as you give that $1 a day, that's $360 for the year. We get to count monthly gifts for the whole year, and then it becomes $720. So to release that money into our total, has to be matched dollar for dollar. That means a single gift of $25 becomes $50. A single gift of $100 becomes $200. $1,000 becomes $2,000. That's the way it works. And I checked. We're still tabulating. We are about halfway there at making this match challenge. Well, we got a hill to climb here, and so we're not sitting back at all, but asking you to prayerfully consider your very best gift. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. 5151. Won't you please give us a call right now with your best gift, and every dollar doubled up to $10,000.
So again, we're going to get to the conversation we had with Penna Dexter, and then a little bit later get to a little more of a predicting, if you will, on what's going to happen on the Judge Kavanaugh vote. But let's see if we can go to that right now, because we just have enough time to hear from Penna Dexter. She was also at an event, could not be with us. She's always here on Fridays, but this is one of those rare times when she could not be. So let's hear from her. One of the people we always love to have on with us, Brad, on Friday is Penna Dexter, but she's going to be at a conference. So we thought we would tape this ahead of time. And Penna, first of all, start off by talking about how you came to be involved with Point of View.
It was a long time ago when I was a young mom and concerned about the direction of the culture. And so I was looking for ways to, first of all, learn, and I learned from listening to Point of View, and then ways to make a difference myself. And as it turned out back then, there were just some opportunities to be able to be involved in the program through writing, through producing spots, and eventually becoming a co-host. So that's how it happened. But I think it just came from a deep concern for the culture and for the direction that things were taking. And when you just move that fast forward to today, the concerns are magnified, and I think the need for Point of View is multiplied times greater because of that.
Well, and one of the things I remember you saying is that Marlon Maddox hired you to kind of be the specialist on women's issues. And after about a week or two, you realized every issue is a woman's issue, right?
That's absolutely true. And, you know, I think the left tries to separate men and women. Mm-hmm. And, you know, today we're seeing that in spades with some of the current controversies that are taking place. But it's really true that if you care about the culture, then you care about strong families. You care about the sanctity of human life. You care about biblical truth. And none of those things are really apply more to one gender than the other. Today, we have so many issues about the definition of what is a man and what right. is a woman. So I think it's even more important for us to go back to a biblical and a Christian worldview. And there's no difference between men and women in the way we need to think about what the Word of God says.
You know, Penna, Brad here, it seems to me that hypocrisy has just found new heights that I didn't even know existed in so many of these issues that are swirling about us right now. What's your viewpoint on that? Is that really true? Is hypocrisy on the increase here?
I think, you know, the human race has always tried to kind of massage truth as a means to an end, in a sense, to get what they're after. And politically, in the political world, that's always been the case. I think, you know, if we look at this moment in time, this very week when we are dealing with a lot of back and forth about a Supreme Court confirmation, we're seeing it. It's just front and center in the news. And, you know, that's why I think it's always important to have programming like Point of View that helps Christians to that hypocrisy, the lies that are being told, the things that the media communicates to us. It's more important than ever, and it's harder than ever, I think, to deal with it because it's a tool. I think that hypocrisy and the lies right now are being used as a tool. Mm. The truth is being distorted, and we've got to figure out ways to deal with it, and yet, you know, not do it in the same way that others do it. Do it with compassion, do it with empathy, and do it with love for our fellow man. So I don't know if that answers your question, but you've really stuck a knife in my heart this week because I think we're all very concerned about that.
Well, certainly. And again, we talk about the darkness of our culture, and the theme this week is a beacon of truth. We want to shine light on that. But Penna, just in the time we have remaining, talk about for our listeners why they should give. It is the last day of our week, our Truth Team week, and what would you say to our listeners why they should support Point of View?
Well, I think, it's so important to support Point of View, to keep the program and its ministry strong for the next generation. I mean, we are intentional at Point of View in doing that. We have now many hosts that come from different generations, and then we have you, Kerby, who really you've always paid attention to every generation and all the trends. And I think right now that is so important because things are moving at warp speed. They're changing so fast. We can't assume that we have a culture that understands biblical truth or can even hear it the way we used to think they could. And so I think that makes Point of View even more important than ever. And I think really as a believer and a Christian, someone who really wants to make a difference in the culture, it's a way, just helping Point of View is a way to do that. So, right now we're really asking that people would look at what's at stake and ask God what they could do to help keep Point of View broadcasting and growing to make that difference that's so needed today.
Well, again, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you back here in the studio.
Well, I missed you, but I hope the day goes well.
Kathy Ward, I would just for a minute like you to tell the story about the first time you met Penna Dexter.
Okay, I think the world of Penna Dexter, and she is so amazing. It was early 90s, and I was first getting involved in Young Republicans and in politics, and I remember going to my precinct convention, and then I signed up, and they're like, well, you can sign up to be a state delegate, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's awesome. So put in my application for that, and I went to the senatorial district convention. And I remember they didn't call my name. And I'm like, oh, did they not like me? Does this mean I don't ever get to do anything like this? And I remember I was pretty upset about it. And Penna grabbed me and she said, oh, honey. And she said, no, she said, I didn't get chosen my first time. She said, here's what you can do. And she gave me a roadmap and she gave me that encouragement. And I remember she was sitting with Jody Laubenberg, who's now state representative here in Texas, and Debbie Terry, who's just an amazing Christian and conservative advocate. And Penna, I remember that. And I remember her being on a radio show. And Penna is how I first heard about Point of View. So I think the world of her, and I owe a lot of where I ended up to go in politics to Penna and how gracious she was to me that first meeting.
The legacy is just wonderful. The history is wonderful. But I tell you guys, we're kind of getting into crunch time now. We have a $10,000 match on the table. We're very excited at the friends that made that available, but we can't use that money until it's matched dollar for dollar with your dollars. So we're asking you to join the Truth Team. Won't you stand with us to tell biblical truth every day, day in and day out? 800-347-5151. I just checked. Almost all the lines are open. So you'll get straight in. 800-347-5151. You can also give online at pointofview.net.
We've talked about legacy. Continue the legacy. Help us to continue the legacy by giving us a call, 800-347-5151. Also, you can go to the website, pointofview.net. That's where we've posted 3 really helpful articles for you as well. So click on that Beacon of Truth banner or give us a call right now, 800-347-5151. Every dollar is doubled.
Yes!
Kerby Anderson can't call George Soros.
Former U.S. Representative and Army Lieutenant Colonel Alan West understands what many forget. Preserving liberty has a cost. It's you versus George Soros. It's like David versus Goliath, and we know how that turned out. But just as David had to go to the brook, select 5 smooth stones, you have to throw off lethargy and indifference and join the team. Point of View Radio's Truth Team needs you this week, right now, today. Don't let the giant win. When you give today, your entire first year of giving will be matched up to $10,000. Every monthly investment doubled. But you have to sling your stone right now. Visit pointofview.net/team or make a short phone call, 1-800-347-5151.
This is what we're up against, folks. And if you want to keep your freedom, if you want to pass on with the greatness of the United States of America to your children or grandchildren, let's help support this ministry.
Pointofview.net/team and 800-347-5151. Point of View will continue after this.
You are listening to Point of View. The opinions expressed on Point of View do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff of this station. And now, here again is Kerby Anderson.
Final half hour, and do not wait any longer. We are at the end of our Truth Team Week, and if you've been sitting out there saying, maybe I ought to give a call sometime soon, please do so before they all jam up. And, of course, we know exactly what happens in this last half hour, and we do have a $10,000 matching pledge on the table.
That's right.
So we need to hear from you. So Kathy Ward with us, Brad Fisk, where are we?
I got a great idea. We haven't talked much about supersizing your gift.
Oh, that's
so
good.
here's the deal. You might be already be giving it $1 a day for the month, which some people are doing, and somebody just called in with another gift. They doubled their own doubling.
I love that.
I love it. And another listener called in and said, you know what? I'm already doing this, but I'm going to throw $100 on the table just because I want to put some extra in the pot, because that becomes $200. And then we had somebody else call in from Illinois and said, I got a $500 bill. I'd love to see that become $1,000. And that's what happened. And
amazing.
So that's so exciting.
Amazing.
Thank you for those gifts. But as Kerby said, we are in the crunch time. The $10,000 match challenge has not been completely met. Partially, yes, but not completely. I don't know about you, but if there's a couple of grand sitting on the table and I said, you can have that money if you pick it up and walk out of the door. But if you leave it on the table and you walk out of the door, it's not yours anymore.
Kathy knows she'd have shopping money.
I would take the money.
I was going to say, wait a second. I would take that
the
money.
1-800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. Let's get every single line filled up, because it's really important to the bottom line of keeping us going strong for the coming months and years. We believe God wants us to be here to continue to be the beacon of truth. You, my friend, can help us make a difference. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151.
Don't you like that idea of supersizing your gift?
I love supersize. I'm thinking about going through the drive-thru, and I'm like, yeah, supersize that. I love that, Brad.
Here's another one, upgrade, you know. I was just thinking the other day, Lindsey Graham 2.0. Senator Lindsey Graham, is that the best upgrade you've seen? Did you remember what he said this time last week?
I had it recorded and replayed it several times. I'm like,
and we played it on here.
Good for him. And again, another place where
upgrade.
You're going to hear point of view. You're going to hear the truth, and you're going to hear when somebody comes around and really steps up for the right thing. And you're going to hear that here on Point of View.
Well, again, we need to hear from you. A lot of people on the phones. Looks like, as far as I can tell, most of them. But that means there's somebody. We still got a line open. Yep. So this is the time to call. It's crunch time now. We're coming to the last few minutes. But let's see if we can, again, hear from some of our listeners.
Point of View. Truth Team 360. Beacon of Truth.
Oh, I thank God for what you're doing on Point of View. You guys have more influence across this country than I believe any of them in terms of tackling the issues and getting the truth out to Americans. It's getting to the point where truth just is bottled up on every hand. Every time you turn around, there's another big bottleneck against truth. I hope your listeners realize what Point of View is doing and supports Point of View in every possible way you can.
I really appreciate everything that you do in keeping us informed.
I always wanted to give because I thought that Point of View really brings a lot of things in out here in the open that you don't hear anywhere else. And I knew when I was hearing on there, well, I could count on it being something that you could check into it and the proof would be there. You know, I didn't have to wonder, well, where did they make that stuff up from? I just know that it's going to be facts. That's what I call true journalism and putting the stuff out. I really think that's great.
Point of View. Truth Team 360. Beacon of Truth.
Back once again, we certainly need to hear from you, 800-347-5151. But I do want to ask Kathy Ward another question. This comes from our friend Victor Davis Hanson. He's been on the program with us before. I found this week, I ended up quoting from him a lot. He, of course, is the Hoover Institution at Stanford University, but he says campus chaos has come to Congress. And I have said before that what happens on the campus eventually ends up in the culture at large. Now, there's a quote that's supposedly attributed to Abraham Lincoln. I'm not sure he ever said it, but whoever said it is right. And that is the philosophy of the classroom in one generation becomes the philosophy of the government in the next. And we have seen so much campus chaos, and we see how it has been a situation where you've had safe spaces, self-censorship, speech codes.
Therapy dogs, free pizza, free hot chocolate.
And then when you look at some of these members of Congress, And senators from New Jersey and New York and California, to mention just a few, they're saying things that were used to be said on the college campus. And
You're
so we
right.
need to pay attention to that. And
You're
that's one of the
absolutely
things
right.
that we've been watching for some time. And so we've talked about this on our Millennial Roundtable with Nick Pitts and Chelsea Human. And, of course, we've talked about it with Penna Dexter and Kelly Shackelford. Kathy, you've seen the same thing. You've been a teacher, and you've
Absolutely.
seen what's happening on the campus. And now what has been on the campus is bleeding out into our public life.
It is, and you almost, as your kid's going to college, be that junior college going off to another state or a state college, it is so frightening because you know your kid is going to hear the liberal agenda. They're not going to be taught how to think for themselves, how to research, how to effectively develop their own idea. They're going to have the progressive left liberalism shoved down their throats. So you have to have the point of view. We have to be around because that's how you combat and save that next generation. We're battling for the soul of our country. Like you mentioned, faith, family, freedom. That's all up for grabs, according to the progressives.
And again, some of these young people aren't going to read a book, but they might read my little booklet on capitalism and socialism. They might not know about history, but they can read something on the Patriot Preachers. And we make this available, Brad, for somebody that gives at $50 a month.
Or more. That's right. You get all the booklets. You get one of them every single month. And I was actually going to mention, we haven't said this in a while, but everybody who gives at $1 a day or more, you're going to receive the Bible stick from Faith Comes by Hearing. That is an incredible little device, and it's actually an MP3 player. So it's about the size of a pack of gum, and you plug the headphones in. The New Testament is preloaded on there with music, sound effects, with drama or dramatization in the ESV version. Very easy to listen to. An incredible device. You cannot buy this in stores. It's not a retail product. We are giving it to you for your gift of $1 a day or more. That's $360 for the year. And I'd love to give away like 20 of these in the next 10, 15 minutes before the top of the hour. Will you please give us a call right now? 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. We have 5 lines open right now, wide open for you to help us meet our match challenge. We have not made the $10,000 match challenge yet. We still have some more to do. Would you please give us a call with your very best gift, every dollar doubled, single or monthly? 800-347-5151.
You know, Kathy, we've been talking about why to support Point of View. I'd love to hear your comments as well, because you've been a listener to Point of View.
Yes.
Penna Dexter has had a profound impact on your life.
Huge impact, yes.
Kelly Shackelford has.
Oh,
and,
everybody's been so gracious, kind, encouraging, and mentoring me along the years.
And
I still need mentoring, so it's okay.
And so, again, people see you now as the individual that ran the Republican Party in one area, a national committee woman, an individual that was a county commissioner, but you're still learning from a program like Point of View, aren't you?
Oh, well, because you have to have places where you go where you can trust that make it easy for you to quickly get the information. And then also something we need to talk about is sharing that information. I mean, I'll be on my phone. I'll be like, oh, I've got to share this. And I'll share it with 10 friends immediately. I'll share it with somebody else and I'll say, read this. It's important. It gets to the point. So a lot of times you don't even have to get into that emotional fight with somebody who doesn't believe what you're saying. Let them read it for themselves, and you can do that on pointofview.net.
Well, we are coming to a break, and you know that just a few minutes from now, we'll have our last segment of the last day of Truth Team. I see that we have at least 3 open lines,
Yep,
so we want to get at least 3 phone calls, although I think we can do some rollovers for some others. So if you've waited to the end, and I do know some of you do, wait to the last hour, you want to put us over the top, $10,000 match, again, put together by some individuals that said, if our gift would encourage others to give, we want to do that.
But it stays outside our total, Kerby, until it's matched. That's pretty critical. So we would really not want to leave that money outside the total. Not at all.
It's pretty urgent right now.
Yes.
And,
you can do a lot with $10,000. I mean, think about $10,000. Yeah. That's huge. Yep. What an opportunity. We don't want to miss it.
Okay, the number, 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. You don't have to have the money now. It's a pledge for the future. We understand that. That's okay. 800 800-347-5151.
Let's get at least 3 people right now to join with us as $1 a day, $30 a month, $360 a year. You'll get that very significant opportunity to join with us and, of course, get the Bible stick. 800-347-5151. You'll have an impact on our lives. It will impact you as well. We'll be right back.
The loudest female voices regarding the allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh were those denouncing Senator's support for him and demanding it be justified with more investigation. Less reported were the numerous women who called Senate offices in support of Kavanaugh and who were critical of what they saw as a political lynching that unfairly destroyed the reputation of a brilliant jurist and family man. The Me Too movement is shining a bright light on sexual abuse by powerful men. In this, it's a powerful tool for good. But it's been clear during this confirmation battle that the movement has also become a weapon for political destruction. Certain senators worried, how will my stand on the confirmation play to female voters? We can no longer assume that most voters want accusations of sexual misdeeds evaluated by substantive argument and by corroboration of charges. We don't know anymore how many Americans prefer a different standard, a sort of politics by belief, in which, when it's about anything sexual, the woman must be believed and the accused man faces the presumption of guilt. There are legal standards for judging the truthfulness of accusers and defenders. But politicians are terrified to say an accuser, like Christine Ford, might be unstable or have memory issues. Statements of skepticism about the credibility or the motivation of the accuser are simply not allowed because they would re-victimize her. And not only her, but every woman who may have been sexually assaulted. The accused is scrutinized, the female accuser, not so much. Overuse of these cynical tactics will eventually dilute protections for real victims. When legitimate allegations of sexual misconduct are made, we'll tend to dismiss them as political. PC kid glove treatment of accusations at the expense of truth harms men and women. The weaponization of the Me Too movement has created a toxic environment that has the potential to destroy our political decision-making. Senators standing against this are heroes. For Point of View, I'm Penna Dexter.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Well, I'd give you multiple reasons to get the point of view. Number one, let's just talk about radio in general. Radio is the only medium that you can actually do something and listen to at the same time. That's not true with other medias. So you can actually work or do whatever you're doing around your house and yet still hear what you need to hear on radio. So I advocate radio as a great medium for getting the gospel and other things, other information out to Christians and hopefully new Christians alike. If we don't support them, I'm not convinced those messages will get out in the future.
Thank you for your program. I am a team member, and you have opened my eyes to the truth.
Point of View, Truth Team 360, Beacon of Truth.
Last segment of the last day of Truth Team, but I think you've got something in your
I
hands.
have got
What
some
happened?
incredibly exciting news. This came out of the blue. We did not set this up. God did this. Somebody just called a few minutes ago and said, you know what? I'm going to put $5,000 into your match challenge fund. If you can match it, you can have it. $5,000. $5,000 on top of the 10. So the 10 was almost reached. So if we get another $5,000 in the next 10, 15 minutes, it will all be matched dollar for dollar. We just went from 10 to $15,000. Yes. Thank you. I got goosebumps. God set this up. We're not manipulating you at all. You want to get in on this. We're going to need a couple people at $1,000, but a whole bunch of you giving us a call at $1 a day, that $50 a month, whatever you can do. Every dollar doubled up to $15,000. 1-800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. 5151. You can also give at pointofview.net. Pointofview.net. There's never a busy signal there. You can always get in. Please, let's hear from you. This is so important.
Yes, and again, I know the station you do as well, where the person was listening, so that's kind of fun as well.
It is.
We know some
I know
of
the
people
manager.
There.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is really amazing. But for a moment, Penn and Dexter's commentary today is about weaponizing sexual accusations, and I'm holding this up because this was our May issue about the #MeToo movement, and Penn and Dexter wrote about that then, but more recently she said, this #MeToo movement is really being degraded. And I'd love to get your comments, Kathy, because this just illustrates again that people say, well, you got to listen to these women. Well, no, because some of those accusations now have been proven false.
Right.
I think it's actually done more harm than good, hasn't it?
Well, and here's the thing. So you have people who are women who are truly victims of sexual assault or sexual harassment. When you muddy the waters, people go, And again, I feel like then the women who do have a legitimate complaint, who have had something tragic happen to them, first of all, God bless them. And, we all know somebody who's been molested or harassed or assaulted.
Yes.
We all do. And then you re-victimize them. How dare somebody re-victimize a victim of sexual assault?
That's wrong.
Yeah. And again, if Dr. Ford wanted to remain anonymous, I don't know why we couldn't have done it the right way. And so we all know what's going on here. And, and when it's all said and done, I think we will have a Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And then look at what we've put this country through.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. All this garbage, all this muck, all this hearings and this and that. And it's nothing more really than a bunch of political maneuvering and just trying to delay the vote and wear out the other side. And I really do believe he will be confirmed. We don't know, but I think he will be. But did we have to go through all this junk? Did we really have to go through all this demeaning? I mean, other countries must be looking at us and shaking their heads saying, what a bunch of bozos. I'll say bozo.
Let's just say that. Let's stick with that.
Let's stick with bozo. Okay, but seriously, guys, we need to stand up for truth, and this is a great opportunity. We will be on the front lines. Hey, midterm elections, we haven't even talked about those yet today, and they're very important. 1-800-347-5151. 800-347-5151. We have lines open. If not, go to pointofview.net and give online.
What you were talking about with all that's going on with Kavanaugh, that is all about November 6th. Yeah. This is all about muddying the waters, and it all comes down to what they want, abortion on demand. And I think it's disgusting that we would do this.
Yep, I agree.
To
I didn't
Americans.
think about the connection between the two as much, but yeah.
And again, one of the things we've said is when you support a Point of View, you receive the Outlook magazine. The October issue is the battle for Congress. And
absolutely.
We, again, recognize that you don't give to get, but we want to send the Bible stick to you. Want to obviously make sure you get the Outlook magazine at higher levels. You get these booklets and other resources. We're really here to equip you to be a beacon of truth. A lot of people might say, well, what do I get out of this? Actually, quite a bit. I mean, I look at all the material we send out the door, all the news information, but all the books, articles, other resources that you find out about. And so we are trying to equip you, empower you, and encourage you to make a difference.
That's right. With the midterm elections coming up, I don't think there's a more important time that you could step in. And I'm really appealing to your first-time donors. You've never given before. That's the majority of you listening right now. Would you please prayerfully consider, pray and obey, see what God would have you do to help support Point of View in this this critical time in our culture. We must stand up and defend biblical world viewpoints. We absolutely must continue to be that voice, and you can help us get there. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151.
We have not announced something, and that is
What?
Senator Collins has just announced she will vote to confirm.
Okay.
And she was going to announce that at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central. And before we go off the air, that means I think there are enough votes. Of course, one senator has to go to his daughter's wedding, but we'll make that work.
Yeah.
It does seem to me
I think they have a
that,
plane on standby for
yeah,
him.
and we may
F-16
indeed
jet.
have Judge Brett Kavanaugh become Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And that's good news. But as
The fight's
Brad
not
said,
over.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows you, look at what we've done. Look, we've dragged a family through.
Yep.
Look at how his wife and his daughters,
And
this
they're
is even before
young.
they
They're
even knew
young
that.
daughters.
And the
You know.
vile things that were said in the
Yep.
Senate confirmation, all the rest of that. And so if that
Not
isn't
necessary.
enough to drive you
Well,
to
the
the phones,
grandstanding
what can
by
we
the
do?
other side.
Yeah.
Senator Booker, he's. I was like, my gosh, he's not even talking about Dr. Ford. He's campaigning for 2020 for president.
Hey,
My
some-
goodness.
You mean Spartacus?
Yeah, sorry.
Some lines just opened up, so there's opportunity. 800-347-5151. A $15,000 match on the table. About 10 minutes ago, a listener called and said, I got $5,000 I want to give to you, but it's part of the match. It has to be matched to be released in the total. Another $5,000. So you please give as generously as you can. Think about supersizing your gift if you're already giving monthly or single gift. 800-347-5151. 800-347-5151.
You know, again, we've talked about some good news. The unemployment rate is the lowest since 1969.
That's awesome.
I think we can say that it's pretty certain now that you will have a Justice Brett Kavanaugh and a variety of other things that we announce so often here on Point of View. So if that makes you feel good and makes you want
It
to pick up
should.
that phone, it is.
And celebrate.
But
And again,
on the
let's
other
keep
hand,
praying.
if you're upset about all the things that have happened, that's another good reason to pick up the phone.
Yep.
And we're going to be giving that number again. So first of all, I want to say, Brad, thank you for being with us all week.
Thank you. It's been a great week, Kirby,
and
as usual.
Kathy, I thank you for letting us introduce you to the national audience because we've known
Thank you for
a
allowing
long
me.
time.
I've known you, since the 90s.
Oh, you know all the stories then.
And they're all great. He's wonderful.
Okay, good. Let's hope so. Okay, we're down the last few seconds. And let's mention that even though we're going to go off the air, we'll still take those phone calls.
Yes.
800-347-5151. All of a sudden, we add a $15,000 match.
It's
And we
amazing.
still have, 4 lines open.
Okay, and remember, too, you can go on the website, even over the weekend. You can
Yes.
go on and give at pointofview.net, pointofview.net, or you can call.
Again, 800-347-5151. We'll have people standing by to take those calls because I don't know how we're going to make that match just since 5,000 was added just a few minutes ago. So we'll do our best. But I want to thank Andrew and Steve and everybody answering phones. Again, give us a call, 800-347-5151.
Kerby Anderson can't call George Soros.
Former U.S. Representative and Army Lieutenant Colonel Alan West understands what many forget. Preserving liberty has a cost. It's you versus George Soros. It's like David versus Goliath, and we know how that turned out. But just as David had to go to the brook, select 5 smooth stones, you have to throw off lethargy and indifference and join the team. Point of View Radio's Truth Team needs you this week, right now, today. Don't let the giant win. When you give today, your entire first year of giving will be matched up to $10,000. Every monthly investment doubled. But you have to sling your stone right now. Visit pointofview.net/team or make a short phone call, 1-800-347-5151.
This is what we're up against, folks. And if you want to keep your freedom, if you want to pass on with the greatness of the United States of America to your children or grandchildren, let's help support this ministry.
Pointofview.net/team and 800-347-5151. Point of View is produced by Point of View Ministries.